completely unsuspecting hero finds himself standing in a very long and very quiet queue. Everyone in identical sterile white coats is going somewhere well, who knows where. He catches in his memory the words of his senpai about the possibility of life after death, and if that were true, he wouldn't be looking at this gloomy, endless procession. This scene is eerily familiar, the last crossing over the Sanzu River after you were ruthlessly crushed by a truck. He turns to the boy next to him, a faceless soul in the crowd, and can only confirm the absurdity of it all. As expected, the other just nods, exactly. Our hero is not even angry, he only thinks. I never thought I would die so young, and a strange calm envelops him. He had always been a loner and kept away from everyone. Moreover, his home life was complete chaos, a nightmare of screaming shadows and outstretched hands. He never felt comfortable in the family, so this is almost a relief. Suddenly, he sees a commotion ahead. Seriously. Even in the damn afterlife, there are bullies. Two thugs are pushing some poor boy. Something ignites inside our hero even though he is already dead. Well, what is the worst that can happen? For the first time in his life, he decides to intervene. He rushed forward and accurately struck the main bully right in the jaw. He didn't stop there with a harsh leg sweep. He knocked the thug off his feet. The boy hits the ground, completely bewildered. Hey, are you dying? But our guy doesn't listen. He lowers his foot with a satisfying crunch. After the trash is cleared away, he helps the rescued boy to his feet and asks, Hey, are you okay? The boy froze in surprise but whispered gratefully, Thank you very much. My name is Hikaru. Turns out Hikaru is only 15, and the guy he saved, who is obviously older, stands terribly embarrassed. 15 years old. What's wrong with me? Did I really just get saved by someone 3 years younger than me? But he is not the type to be offended by defeat. He takes out a heavy pouch, but it's nothing, I will give this to you in return. Our hero is confused. He has seen others with these pouches, but he doesn't have one like that. But the boy insists anyway. This is the least I can do. He takes the bag, and the other waves his hand and disappears into the crowd. And you are very kind, a silky voice cut through the silence. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a finely dressed blonde appeared. He looked completely out of place. Listen to me for a minute. Our boy is quite justifiably confused. This newcomer is not in the usual otherworldly robe. Why is he dressed so differently than us? This thought flashed like lightning in his head. Blonde did not waste time. I want you to come into my world and live in my house. Before our hero can grasp this crazy proposition, the man throws off his coat. A terrible, deadly wound blooms on his torso. I will die soon, he says calmly, as if nothing happened. The boys have a short circuit in their heads. Wait, you are dying. But isn't this the otherworld? We are both already dead. The blonde explains that he used a special ability called World Crossing, and this is the limit of its power. He stands right in front of our hero's face, his eyes pleading. So please, come into my world and fulfill my wish. And then he drops a shocking bomb, the ultimate bribery move. And if you do this, his voice thunders with otherworldly power. You can be reborn again. Rebirth, a second chance. Our hero is stunned. The blonde, feeling that he had caught him on the hook, lays out the condition. Live as you want, just do me one favor. He needs a service, and since he is about to die, there are no consequences for him. Our guy asks the million-dollar question, how much does it cost? The blonde woman smiles very suspiciously and says, nothing bad will happen to you, trust me. When literally there were no other options left, only the hero's caves remained. All right, I will go into your world and listen to what you say. The blonde introduced himself, Roland Nuizerak. And when he speaks, a huge, shining magical circle emerges beneath their feet, and I will give you my body. Blinding light and then warmth, he feels his hands and feet again. His eyes tremulously opened. He stumbled forward. His new body felt alien and at the same time familiar. He notices his reflection in the mirror. He gasps. He has returned. He really, truly has returned. But the euphoria does not last long. The flow of information, Roland's memories rush into his consciousness and bring a splitting headache. The memories confirm it. All of this is real. The deal was simple: to kill a person. And the fine print is cruel. If it doesn't manage to kill someone within an hour, its soul will be completely destroyed. And next to him appears the ghostly figure of Roland. He shouts sharply, his eyes burning with rage. Just as I thought, you deceived me. Roland brazenly looks offended. I did not lie to you. Our hero will not tolerate this. So tell me, what is wrong with you and why do you want me to kill someone? Roland's face darkened. His target is Count Morx, a corrupt nobleman who killed Roland's parents. Roland himself tried to take revenge but suffered a complete failure. In a last desperate attempt, he grabbed the cursed stone that absorbs souls to defeat the Count, but everything turned against him, and now his own soul is slowly fading into oblivion. An ultimatum hung in the air: kill the Count within an hour, or both souls will be erased from existence forever. It's a cruel condition, but he has no other choice. The weight of the choice crushes him. Whatever he does, he has only an hour left. He is backed against the wall. Stealing his resolve, he turns to Roland. Fine, I will help you with this, in exchange for my life. Roland nods, then I will give you this gift, sharpen my senses. The hero is confused, but suddenly a holographic screen appears right in front of his face. This is Soulboard, its name is Hikaru right at the top. Age 15, rank 0, points 15, what the hell is this? The spirit of Roland begins to fade. I have almost no strength left. I will tell you everything that needs to be done while I am still here. The pressure doesn't let up. 5 minutes have already burned away. 55 minutes remain. He needs to calm down and figure out what to do. He touches the screen and instantly a prompt appears. Unlock Soulboard. This will consume 1 unit of energy. He agrees. He instantly realizes this is a skill system like in a video game. He can spend points to become stronger. His goal is clear: to kill the Count. For this, he needs the right tools. He ran his finger across the screen and suddenly saw several tabs. There were even more hidden skills here. He flips through them one by one, 7 different screens, each with its own set of abilities. I knew it, this is one of those computer tablets, he mumbles to himself. There are 49 minutes left, no time to look around. He needs to quickly choose skills and set off. He glides his gaze over agility, strength, and magic. Magic looks too complicated, and he is not sure if this body can use it at all. Strength could come in handy, but not for a covert mission. And then he sees it: perfect mastery, secrecy. He presses the unlock button and spends 1 point. Then he begins to invest the remaining points in other useful skills: life detection, magical power, and perception. At first, he levels perception to the maximum. As soon as he does this, a hidden skill branches off from it. Assassination, a skill that controls the fate of the attack and makes it deadly. Just what I need right now, he thinks, a grim determination on his face. He invests 3 points to level this to the maximum, and to be sure he can kill his target. And this unlocks an even more epic skill: sniper. His points are at 0, the timer shows 25 minutes time to act. He takes a deep breath and activates stealth. A strange sensation covers him, his body becomes transparent. He waves his hands in front of his face, barely seeing them, so it works. He rushes down the corridor, Roland's memories guiding him to the council hall in the city. He passed by a clerk at a desk, and the man didn't even flinch. This ability is just unreal cool. He runs out into the pouring rain, clutching the key from Roland's memory in his hand. 25 minutes left, and the storm rages around him. He finds the mansion intact, but the back door is locked tight. There is no other way out. He will have to go through the front entrance. But he slips inside, right between 2 chatty guards who do not notice at all. This stealth skill is a real game changer. He ducks behind a column as more guards pass by, then rushes up the stairs, but he is soaking wet from the rain and leaves a puddle on the floor. One of the guards notices it and shouts, "Hey look, someone wet the floor." The hero's heart pounds in his chest, and another guard just snorts disdainfully. Of course, because it's raining outside, probably from those people in the Alchemist's Guild. The crisis is resolved. He continues his path in an invisible form, like a ghost, sliding through the corridors. 15 minutes left, the tension is suffocating. He notices light pouring from under a door at the end of the corridor. He hears a voice from inside. That Baron is a complete idiot. There he is, I've found him. The weight of his mission suddenly falls on him. He is about to kill a man. He stands before the door, his hand hovering over the handle, and the rain lashes against the windows outside. He inhaled with a tremor and pushed the door. A storm of doubts and panicked reassurances raged in his head. Everything is fine, everything will be okay, I will kill, we will survive this, right? The flash of his own death, a truck, a crash, and he suddenly feels how fragile life is. People die so easily. 10 minutes left, he must do this to survive. The door creaked and slowly opened. The Count Stocky, with luxurious mustaches, raised his gaze from his desk. He looked around the empty doorway, shrugged, and decided it was just his imagination. I just need to relax and keep reading, he mutters, self-satisfied that the annoying Zerash family has finally disappeared. You are wrong, Hikaru cut through the silence, appearing behind the desk. The Count nearly jumped out of his skin. Who the hell are you? The ghost of Roland appears, a savage snarl on his face. What the hell is Roland doing here? Are you crazy? Hisses the Count. Roland simply says, I am Roland Nui Zerash. And then Hikaru, pointing with the dagger that Roland left, delivers the final verdict. I will kill you. The spirit of Roland warns him. Besides, I do not want your memory to be stained with murder. But the Count is by no means a helpless old man. He dodges the first strike with astonishing speed and lunges for the drawer of his desk. He will not surrender without a fight. But do not underestimate him, says Roland. Hikaru grits his teeth, and do not underestimate me. I am ready to do it. The Count, realizing he is outmatched, rushed to the door, screaming in terror. But Hikaru is faster. He sharply lunges forward and grabs the old man's ankle with a grip like a vice, and pushed him so that he slammed onto the floor. Before the Count could recover, Hikaru pounced on him and plunged the dagger all the way to the hilt. Blood splattered on the immaculate floor. "It's over," Hikaru stands, gasping, adrenaline slowly receding, leaving him empty. He looks at his trembling hands. "Damn, I can't believe you really killed him." Roland's voice sounded nearby. Hikaru fiercely looks at the spirit. "You planned to do this yourself from the very beginning, didn't you?" Roland smiled slyly. "Yes, that's what I did. I thought it would be better for you, but now we are both accomplices, right?" He chuckles maliciously. The dark truth has finally surfaced. Avenging himself, the spirit of Roland began to glow, and he whispered, "Thank you. This body is now completely yours." When he disappears, Hikaru finally says his name. "My name is Hikaru." Roland's voice is barely audible, like a whisper in the wind. "Thank you, Hikaru. I will always pray for you. So you have a bright future ahead." "He is not here." The silence in the room was deafening. "Oh no," whispered Hikaru, feeling the full weight of his actions crashing down on him. He really did it. He killed a person. At the very moment when panic begins to engulf everyone, a figure appears in the doorway. A young woman with stunning silvery hair stands, her face impossible to read. Hikaru froze. Her beauty captivated him, but he was horrified by the thought of being caught. She breaks the silence. They ring the bell. It means the knights are hurrying. And indeed, from the corridor came a dull, heavy knock of armored boots. He has trapped. His secrecy will not save him now. But suddenly the girl points to the balcony. There is a rope ladder. You can climb down from there. He is confused. Why should she help him? She is a complete stranger. But the knights are already approaching, so he has no time to figure it out. He rushed to flee. "I'm leaving, all right," she shouts after him. "Just go." He jumps over the railing at the very moment when the guard bursts into the room and sees the Count's body. "He is dead," the guard shouts. In another place, Hikaru hurriedly descends the rope ladder. "Everyone to the second floor. Don't let him escape." But the girl with silver hair just stands calmly watching him disappear into the night. He runs until his lungs burn, finally collapsing into the solemn silence of the cemetery. He is exhausted. Both body and soul are empty. The whole night was like a feverish dream. And that mysterious girl, did she let him go? He clenches his right hand, the phantom sensation of a dagger still with him. In this strange new world, the only thing that truly feels real is the crushing weight of what he has done. Several days have passed since our unsuspecting hero was suddenly thrown into this new world. He has already taken his first step. He became a traveler. In fact, the plan is simple: survive, and most importantly, get a guild ID to blend in with the crowd. His first task is ridiculously simple: bring some poisonous plants. He calmly walks through the forest, thinking about nothing, when suddenly he notices one of the flowers. But just as he reminds himself that the most important part of the mission is to stay alert, the boar burst out of the bushes, nearly jumped out of his skin, but sighed with relief, thinking it was just a boar. And then a shadow falls on him. He raises his head. Blood freezes in his veins. Above him looms a huge, menacing green wolf, its eyes glowing with predatory hunger. This is bad. This is very, very bad. According to the guild, these creatures are not only cruel, they hunt in packs and have a ridiculously large detection radius. And of course, he stands right in the middle of all this. But then the most chaotic thing happens. The wolves simply ignore him. They sniff around, completely indifferent, as if he were a ghost. Our guy is confused and realizes the full power of his protective blessing. Imagine this: in this world, blessings are issued by the guild power app like a fantasy smartphone. You get different bonuses depending on the choice, and the shorter the name of the blessing, the more powerful it is. And his protection blessing is a truly top stealth skill, a perfect, insane combination for him. And what does our hero do? He simply calmly kneels down, just a few centimeters from these deadly predators, and starts picking flowers as if it were a Sunday picnic. He fills his bag, nods to the wolf pack, who have no idea, and just walks into the forest, not worrying about anything. He returns to the Guild of Adventures, a huge, formidable building. And it turned out that a couple of small-time lackeys are trying to hit on the receptionist Florichin. They shower her with compliments, and she skillfully brushes them off. Just then Hikaru comes in. Floris's face lights up. She warmly greets him, and two fools immediately notice this. One of them, a suspicious guy, moves right up to him and sharply tells him to wait his turn. This dude flexes his muscles and calls himself Chernenko Kragalo, clearly hoping to scare our guy. But Hikaru has a new trick. He sees other people's soul boards and status screens, and this guy's stats look like trash, squeezed to the limit with barely noticeable power. Hikaru just teases him, asking why a real adventurer wastes time flirting with the receptionist instead of taking on quests. Yornienko just snaps and yells at him, "Shut up." His friend has to pull him away, but before that, he throws Hikaru a look that promises a whole world of pain. Flora is in complete panic. "Are you okay with this?" she asked, worried that he had made a dangerous enemy. She warns him that in the Chernenko guild he has a fearsome reputation because of his strength. Roboy just laughs and, shrugging, says, "I don't think they're that strong." He explains that strength in this world is tied to blessings, and it turns out he has a very, very strong set. Although experienced adventurers can have 4 blessings, legends have 5, and that makes them truly mythical. Our hero has such an epic set of titles that even the Demon King would blush. Night Hunter, Blessing of the Typhoon, and Assassin's Thing. Yes, Assassin's Thing. He brushed off her anxiety and handed over his quest items. He slapped the bag on the counter and Fleur froze in surprise. "This is all I have," he says indifferently. She looks at him as if he has 3 heads, that's all. While she insists that the territory he went to is teeming with fierce wolf griffins. "And there were no green wolves, right?" she asks, pointing accusingly. When he confirms that they were there, she just claps her hands, completely confused, deciding that he is incredibly lucky. He passes the evaluation. He is handed a heavy bag of coins payment for all his troubles. He gives Fleur a sincere, warm smile and thanks her for everything. It seems to have caught her by surprise, just as he was about to leave. He decides that he still has time for one more mission. Fleur's face lit up like a Christmas tree. "If so," she said decisively, "I will find the best missions for Hikaru-san." She hurriedly sets off to find them, and our guy can't help but notice why all the adventurers flock to her stall. While he waits, his thoughts keep returning again and again to the girl who saved him. Since then he hasn't heard a word. Fleur returns and he shudders, and he decides to ask something. "Hey," he asks casually, "have you heard anything in the city? Are you talking about the fact that they killed some important person?" She froze completely and whispered in response, "Where did you hear that? That story is my most secret secret." He pretends to be a fool, saying that his memory is foggy. She is convinced that no other adventurers are involved. But let's add a detail. Some representatives of the authorities came to the guild and asked to investigate the murder. She leans closer and quietly whispers to him, "It's a secret," before changing the subject and handing him a stack of carefully selected missions. He thanks her again, this time for her incredible hospitality. And she simply melted. It seems adventurers are never this kind. And she wishes there were more like him. The girl is completely confused. He reviews the best missions and they all turn out to be household chores, cleaning, roof repair, conversations with the elderly. With a stone face, our hopeless hero looks at her and says, "Sorry, but I will refuse all." Absolutely ruthless move. Instead, he accepts the task of hunting red-horned rabbits. According to Fleur, they are incredibly hard to defeat. They notice everything and dash at crazy speed. And for our guy, with his skill of being unnoticed, it's like a walk in the park. He sneaks up on one so quietly that it doesn't even suspect he's there. He froze for a moment again, not used to killing. But his eyes hardened, and he hits the target exactly. At the moment the rabbit falls, it is enveloped in a dazzling glow. He has risen to a new level. The rank of his soul has increased. He knows such power cannot be held by him alone. With new glasses for leveling up, he decides to return to the guild. His goal is simple: farm quests, earn money, and stay in the shadows until the whole story with the Count's murder settles down. But as he was walking through the city, he suddenly overheard 2 patrol riders. His ears instantly pricked up when the name Count Morgus was mentioned. They found the killer. These words hit him like a truck. He stands completely bewildered, but this is impossible. He thinks, after all, I am the one who killed the Count. Who did they catch? He must find out more, and quickly. He returned to the guild, staring intently at the task board, completely lost in thought. It flashed through his mind when Fleur brought him out of that state. He is here only to complete his quest for the rabbit. They called the old man to inspect and assess the horn. Hikaru looks at him, thinking that he is just some kind of appraiser. But then he turns on his soulboard vision. This old man, Jankin Fibelzek, is a real giant. His indicators are simply off the charts. And he has a skill, mass destruction, and it is even stronger than Hikaru. The old man has our LL soul boards. Hikaru had no doubts this man is the guild master. The guild master caught him with a sharp look and asked in a voice cold as ice, "Are you looking at me as if I am some kind of target?" Hikaru instantly steps back and tries to pass it off as complete calmness. Later that day, when the work was finally finished, Hikaru approaches Fleur. "I would like to ask you a personal question," he says seriously. She instantly falls into complete panic. He walks through the city streets, and the thought does not cease in his head. Fleur must know something about the investigation. Suddenly all his senses screamed someone is following him. He glanced to the side and saw silhouettes. It is Chernenko and his team. They want blood. Thanks to his gift of detection, he literally feels their murderous intentions from 10 meters away. A sly smile flashed across his face as he squeezed into the alley. The thugs follow behind and run into a dead end. Where the hell did he go? Roars Chernenko. Our guy is standing right in front of them, invisible and just chuckling. I'm right in front of you, but I'm a bit busy right now. He gets rid of the thugs and enters a cafe to meet Flora. He finds her waiting and she is not in uniform. He froze at how beautiful she looks. He tells her she looks wonderful and she blushes uncontrollably. They sit down. He immediately gets to the point, but she teases him, pretending he invited her for tea to extract information from her. To make amends, he offers to buy her anything she wants from the menu. Her eyes lit up when she finally ordered what she had always dreamed of trying. The waiter returned, carrying a giant fruit smoothie with 2 straws. Flora blushes with shame. Hey, no, she protests, but Hikaru is relentless and insists, you have to behave like a man and drink this with me. After several pleas, she finally agrees, and they lined towards each other. They both take a sip and in unison agree, delicious. Now that the mood is perfect, he moves on to finishing. I have a question for you, he begins. I heard they caught the murderer of Count Morgas. The change is instant, the smile disappears, the eyes become steel, the air chills. Where did you hear that? She demands, her voice dangerously low. He swears he heard it from the patrol officers, and she insists this is strictly classified information. He apologizes for insisting, then tells a half-truth. His friend had a bad experience with the Count that looks like it worked. She finally gives in and tells him that the culprit, who was found dead, will be sent to the royal court in 3 days for sentencing. The last piece of the puzzle fell into place, and horror overwhelmed him, the first to find him dead in that place. It's impossible, right? The girl who saved his life is now called a criminal. His eyes narrowed with cold fury. This makes no sense at all. He clenched his fist and a new determination flared up inside it. I have to go. Now it's my turn to save her. 2 guards patrol the dimly lit mansion, their footsteps echoing in the silence. The night shift is almost over, and one of them can't wait. Our night shift is about to end, he sighs with relief. His partner, a perpetual worrier, just grumbled in response. You're too worried, you know, nothing will happen. But they are terribly mistaken, because from the shadows quietly watches our guy, with the grim face. He never thought he would have to return to this cursed place. He has already checked the guard post, and the isolation cell. She wasn't there. This means only one thing. She's still being held somewhere in the Count's mansion. The voices of the guards reach him. One says that security is being tightened, and this only complicates matters. Alone in a long, empty corridor, our hero carefully examines everything around, and the real question is, where could they be keeping her? He approaches the nearest door, but it is firmly locked. He curses his luck. If he knew how to pick locks, everything would be much easier. It was then that he hears footsteps and ducks back. Another patrol is approaching, but this one is different. It has a dog. A huge Doberman growling prowls the corridor, and our hero is completely confused. But suddenly an absurd idea flashes in his mind. With his suspicious, godlike occult ability, he can confuse the dog's senses. This could really come in handy. As if on command, the dog rushes to a specific door and starts barking wildly, alerting its trainer. The guard, thinking the dog just needs to be walked or go to the bathroom, clicks the key and opens the door. And suddenly flings it open, revealing an absurdly luxurious and elegant bedroom. He looks inside, sees nothing, drops to his knees and pats his partner. See, it's empty here, you must be hungry. And then our guy showed his galactic plan. He turned off invisibility mode so the dog could catch his scent, and turned it back on the very second. The guard looked away, effectively trolling both the man and the beast to open the door for himself. A successful but very risky maneuver. It was on the edge, but it worked. He is inside. He finds himself in a place that looks like a library. Shelves with books stretch along all the walls. He pulls out a random book, adventure stories, pulls out another. The same thing. This is a room for someone who dreams of escape, the one. The interior is incredibly refined. It is immediately clear. This is a young woman's bedroom. And here he sees a dress is hanging in the corner, the very same dress that was there that night. This is her room. Looks like nothing has been touched here for a long time. She must be somewhere else. But as soon as he starts to investigate further, he hears footsteps approaching. He ducks and slips into the room just at the moment when 2 more guards walk by, yawning and grumbling that they want to sleep. They are gossiping. One of them starts, "Hey, I heard what you said." Our hero presses his ear to the door and listens carefully. They are talking about the investigation. Apparently, the killer has already been caught. They talk about Tour and are already preparing to send her to the capital. And then the guard drops a real bombshell of news. It's a pity that she got stuck in that dirty basement. Bingo, his eyes suddenly widened. She had been underground all this time. He quickly finds a hidden door in the floor, the entrance to the basement. He looked down the stairs. There was only one guard below, just perfect. He sneaks down and tries to open the door, but of course, it is locked. The key is probably upstairs with one of the guards, but just as he turns to go up, he hears voices again. Two more guards are coming down, and one boasts about how he almost slept with the maid. And the other laughs at him. "Don't let such a one go," says the first, "but she stands across my path right by the entrance." His friend suggests going together to check on that girl. "Patrol time, huh? I'm ready, so let's go," said the first guard, taking out a key. This is bad. The corridor is too narrow. Even quietly, they will run right into him. He is completely cornered. His plan is ruined. A dark thought flashed through his head: murder. He could kill them both. Neither of them is armored, so it would be easy. The burden of the decision weighs on him. Is he really going to kill two innocent men just because they made a mistake and got in his way? His face contorts into a mask of despair and determination. He must. He raises the dagger, muscles tense, ready to strike, but suddenly a voice sounded from the top of the stairs. It's the maid, and she is furious. "What is wrong with you?" The guard froze completely in surprise, and she lashes out at Sir Ist for sleeping in the women's rooms in taverns. The other guard just buried his face in his hands. "Come on," he sighed. "I don't care what happens to you." The maid practically drags the embarrassed knight up the stairs, and our guy catches the moment and quietly melts into the shadows. The second guard followed them, and the corridor suddenly became completely empty, a miracle. And then he sees it. On the wall, forgotten in the chaos, hangs a key that. The tension finally releases, and our hero sinks with his back against the wall, breathing heavily. Phew, that was way too close. He was a hair's breadth away from becoming a killer, and this fact will haunt him for life. He gathers his courage. He is right to want to save her, but if things go wrong, he will have to be ready to make hard decisions. Sometimes killing will be inevitable, but he drives that dark thought away. He will think about it later. Right now, he has more important matters. He unlocks the door and steps inside. There, in a glowing prison covered with runes, sits a beautiful young woman calmly, absorbed in a book. She looked up, her face unreadable. "Who are you?" she asked. He takes a step forward. "I am the one who killed the count," he says simply. "I came here to save your life." She simply thanks him for coming but says, "It is impossible. This is a magical prison. I can't even touch it. It was built by a master of the Alchemists Guild, and only he can open it. Maybe killing him is the key." Our guy hints that his mind is still in that darkness. She looks at him, eyes sharp and clear. "You can't kill the innocent," she says, her voice cutting through his chaotic thoughts. "Your mind is clouded." The fierce accusation hits him hard. He stammers, "But I saved your life. Don't you want to get out of here?" Her answer is frantic. "I don't want to," she says, closing her eyes. "Why? Because I have played my role since you killed that man." He is stunned and confirms she is the Count's daughter. He killed her father, and she is so calm. "Don't look at me like that," she says coldly. She explains that the cage was not just to hold her. The Alchemists Guild put tremendous effort into it for one very specific reason. She reaches out her hand, and a huge crackling force bursts from him, shaking the very air in the room. "What the hell?" our hero shouts, pushing back. She has immense magical power, but she only knows how to use one type: destructive magic. She thanks him again, a small, sad smile on her face. "I didn't even know someone wanted to help me." She even asks who framed him for the murder, for which she is ready to take the blame. Then she reveals her grim fate. In 3 days she will be sent to the capital, where the king will make her a living weapon, a secret assassin who will kill his enemies, and her existence will forever become a dark stain in history. She talks about it so indifferently, and our hero cannot stand it. "Are you saying that the king will turn you into an assassin by using your powers?" he asked, confused. She seems simply pleased that at least for a moment someone cared about her. This is too much. How could she give up on life so easily? He thinks his resolve hardens. She tells him that the time has come. He must leave before the patrol arrives. But suddenly he sees it. Her hands, resting on the book, tremble uncontrollably. All the adventure novels from her room come alive in his memory. This is not someone who gave up. This is someone who is terrified. "Vince, there is no retreat. Won't you at least say your name?" He asks quietly but firmly. She says he will forget it anyway. He doesn't need to hear that. But he sharply cuts in, "No, of course not. My name is Hikaru. Now tell me your name." Her restraint finally snapped. Tears rolled down her face, and she, gasping for breath, whispered her name. "I am Lavia von Moristad. I am Lavia." She begs him pleadingly, "Just call me Lavia, Lavia. I need you," but she suddenly realizes, of course you don't do that. With her last strength, she begs him, don't say another word, and don't give her the hope she won't survive losing. But it's already too late. Our hero looks her straight in the eyes. He has already decided, but I will save you. He continues, you are right. I don't want to kill innocents, so let me get you out of here without killing anyone. He will intervene in her life, whether she wants it or not. The chance will come in 3 days during her transfer to the capital. Can I trust you? She whispers, her voice trembling. Won't I become a burden? He waved it off. I don't care. I am the one whose life you saved first, if you could save me. She reaches out her hand through the magical bars, her face a true storm of emotions. I will give everything to save you, he promises. Later the guards returned and saw Levia, who seemed to be sleeping. The clock now officially ticks, only 3 days left to execute the escape plan. Back in the Adventurers Guild, our guy is crafting the plan for the next move. Before pulling Lavia out of danger, he needs to get money to shelter her afterward. He is irritated his usual receptionist Flerchen is not in place. He scans the quest board, but all the low-level tasks are complete trash. At that moment, another receptionist employee approached him with a deceptively sweet smile and asked, "May I see your guild card?" She takes it, the smile on her lips fades. Hikaru, an ordinary civilian, is confused. Why is Flare so obsessed with someone so painfully ordinary? There must be something else, she thinks, as if asking him if he has any other gifts. He is just pretending to be a fool. She is convinced that he is hiding some epic power and that Flare ordered him to keep silent. To win his favor, she offers him the perfect request for a newbie. A simple courier quest for 200 gillen. She tells him to wait for her near the kiosk outside. Our hero agrees, but he is not a fool. He knows perfectly well where this leads. It is a delivery to the gloomy district of the city. He activates the skill of invisibility and steps into the dark, bat-inhabited entrance to the sewer. He immediately overheard 2 thugs grumbling that it would be easier to kill their clients and steal their belongings, but apparently their boss can't stand blood. He followed them deeper and suddenly noticed they were watching someone. It's time to test his new upgraded stealth combo. He activates a magical lock and another skill sensory shutdown, which makes him so invisible that people look right at him, but their brains simply refuse to notice his existence. The thugs head to meet their boss, a man named Kelbeck. Our guy feels a strange connection to this name, as if it's someone he was destined to meet. His title is Aged Toolsmith, but Hikaru knows that behind these words lies something more. They approach sturdy, reinforced Dorsend, are led into a hideout. Boss, a guy with flaming tattoos on his face, slouched back, threw his feet on the table, and instantly lashed out at his subordinates for being 5 minutes late. You two are responsible, he barked. After a harsh verbal tirade, he kicks them out. As soon as they disappear, our guy slowly enters the room. Hello, he says, smiling politely. The boss almost jumps out of his skin and barks. Who are you? Karu calmly explains that he is not looking for a fight. He extends the scroll. You have a delivery. The boss is completely confused, but agrees. He sees the Adventurers Guild seal and relaxes a bit, but then questions start pouring in. How did you get here? The boss knows that no one gets in there so easily. He called his guards, who were standing right next to Hikaru, and they confirmed that no one approached. They literally do not see the boy standing 2 feet away from them. The boss realizes this boy is on a completely different level. Hikaru, pretending to be indifferent, casually asks him to sign that form. The boss, all sweaty, signs it and hands it back, sinking again. But as soon as our hero turns to leave, the boss stops him. Wait a minute, who do you think I am? And he knows Hikaru is not just a courier. He shows who he really is. This is the Thieves Guild. Impressed and frightened, the boss offers our hero help in the future, but at a price. Remember, don't get involved with the Adventurers Guild, he warns, but if you do get into trouble, just say the word. When Hikaru leaves, the boss smiles. This guy is scary, but definitely worth watching. Back in the guilds, the cunning receptionist waits. She deliberately sent him into the territory of the Thieves Guild, hoping he would be caught so she could appear as a savior and make him indebted to her. She froze in shock when he entered completely unharmed. Did you meet Kelbeck-san? She asked. Yes, nothing special happened, he replied, and this completely confused her. She hands the reward to Major 200 Jelen. Her head was spinning. How did he manage that? While he is thinking about the next move, an old man from the guild approaches him. He has wonderful news. The hide of the redhorn rabbit was processed and sold for an incredible sum, about 147,500 gillen. Our guy froze in shock. Over 140,000. And so his money problems instantly disappeared. Most of the money is now in the guild bank. Now, with pockets full and confidence overflowing, he turns to the old man and says, I would really like you to answer a few questions. Our hero makes his way through the forest. Thoughts racing. The ransom for the rabbit was a trifle, but the only thing that really matters is at least the smallest clue about Lavia's whereabouts. He clenches his fist, fire burning in his eyes. He is not here for fun, but to level up and prepare for the rescue operation of a lifetime. This forest is officially his personal grinding spot. A few days ago, he came for wisdom to the guild Elder Uncansan. Our hero, looking like a child asking for a cookie, asks him if any particularly nasty monsters are hiding nearby. He explains that he plans to stay here a bit, so he needs to earn money, and that means a trip into the creepy forest. The old man strokes his beard, his intuition probably working wildly. He senses everything. He leans in as if about to whisper the juiciest gossip and warns that our guy must avoid 4 great threats. He lays it all out: green wolves, giant bees, forest barbarians, and a huge horde of goblins creeping ever closer to the city. At the mention of 300 goblins, our guy's eyes widened. Unkin describes the giant bees, huge-winged insects that, if looked at even slightly wrong, will call their friends and turn a simple fight into a real nightmare. Then he reveals details about the forest barbarian 10 feet tall, with massive forearms and 1 eye, a real walking nightmare. The old man gestures away from their meeting place near the eastern lake, and our guy immediately ran away from there. And that is exactly where he stands now, by that very eastern lake, and sees that the old man was not mistaken. He could hunt any creatures, but it is unprofitable. The real point is to take on the most dangerous monsters, because they give the most experience. He really did not want to get involved with a swarm of bees or a whole army of goblins, so, before he could finish this thought, a lone green wolf sneaked up and appeared before his eyes. Great, the hero smiled slyly, activated the stealth skill, and disappeared from sight. The wolf had no idea someone was watching it. He instantly closed the distance, and with one quick, powerful strike, it was all over. The wolf let out one last piercing scream and collapsed dead before it even touched the ground. The assassinate's skill is just ridiculously broken. It makes one-hit kills easy, but when the adrenaline fades, a strange feeling overwhelms him. He already leveled up much faster than he expected. A cold realization awakens in him. The guilt for the kill fades. He gets used to it. He pulls himself together, understanding that this is a battle of the heart, a battle he needs to control. So he writes down several rules for his new life. Gather information, prepare thoroughly, and when the time comes to strike, do not hesitate under any circumstances, and then move on. He glances quickly at his status. Rank 8 decides to postpone the points for now. Time to get back to work. He squints his eyes. He hears noise in the distance and shouts. Suddenly the scenes turn into complete chaos. A group of adventurers is completely overwhelmed. They are literally flooded by what seems like an endless horde of goblins. They are surrounded. They fight for their lives. Among them are 3 girls, but one of them, a healer named Pauline, is frozen stiff with fear. The horror of the moment paralyses her. In her head it screams that she should never have gone on this quest. How did they even get into this mess? A memory from the guild hall. 2 suspicious men persuaded them to take a lucrative task near the eastern lake. The promise of easy money was too tempting to resist. And although her friend Paya warned her, Pauline still gave in. She just wanted to earn enough to send home to her village. The suspicious leader only laughed at their fears and said that the rumors about danger were exaggerated. He boasted that he could handle any monster himself. Paya, the eternal protector, promised to keep Polina safe. But Polly deep down knew it was a terrible mistake. Now her nightmare had become reality. 3 girls fight desperately, but it is hopeless. An arrow breaks out of the crowd and knocks down one of the suspicious adventurers. This is not just a crowd, it is an organized army of goblins. The leader of these scoundrels begins to panic, admitting that he thought he was just fooling some newbie adventurers, but now they are all doomed. He turns to the frightened Polina with a disgusting smile. "Do you know what goblins want?" he asks. "Offspring," he says mockingly. He reveals his disgusting plan. The goblins want women, not men. Polina is completely confused. Then he grabs her, intending to throw her right into the horde of goblins so they will eat her and be distracted. "You can save us," he shouts, pushing her forward. Her friends shout her name, but it is already too late. The man justifies his brutal act, shouting that this is exactly what a healer does. He saves people's lives. He pushes her to the ground, leaving her to the mercy of fate. Tara holds her tightly. The goblins, their eyes radiating malice, begin to close in on her helpless figure. One of them suddenly showed a grotesque, predatory smile. She lets out her last, hopeless scream. Here it is the end. All her dreams of becoming an adventurer die right here. She dreamed of leaving her village and meeting a fateful, handsome man in the city. And to fall in love. What a foolish fantasy. She squints and wishes for death. And then, nothing. The goblins did not move. A calm voice cut through the silence. "That was close. A figure loomed over her, covering the terrible view. "Are you okay?" he asks. Her eyes focus and she sees him. Our guy has arrived. She froze, completely stunned by her sudden savior. He extends his hand. "Can you get up?" This is it. The very fateful meeting. A true hero has appeared. He calmly tells the still stunned Paula to retreat. But she is completely stunned, and instead of moving away, she throws herself at him, thanking him again and again. Meanwhile, that scoundrel who threw her to the wolves is boiling with rage and shouts. Sacrificing her was our only way out. Our hero's eyes narrow, and he calmly says, "Aha, now I understand. So you wanted to use her as bait and run away?" he asks, lightly pushing aside the pole she is still clinging to. He steps forward toward the coward, who can only stammer in response. Just as Paya is about to unleash her fury, our hero points to the forest. A horn sounds. "They will retreat soon," he says calmly. As if on command, the entire horde of goblins is confused and flees. The suspicious adventurers are stunned. "Run while you can," advises our main character. And they don't need to be told twice. They dash away, without hesitation. When the immediate threat has passed, he checks on Paula. She is wildly blushing but says she is fine, she can heal herself. Paya is boiling with anger because those cowards ran away, but our hero tells her not to worry. He says their reputation is ruined. Once it gets out that they use their own party as bait, no one will want to deal with them anymore. The only way to prevent this is to silence the witnesses. He admits that he has been watching their two companions, the ones easy to deceive, and tells the girls to go on without him. Paula disagrees. She introduced herself properly and almost begs him to escort them to the lake. Her friends join in, and he finally gives in, agreeing to watch over them from a distance. Paula's face fell. It was clear that she was disappointed. He would not be by her side. Her friend Paya immediately teases her and exposes that she secretly writes nonsense novels. Paula simply melts from the sweet embarrassment. While they were walking, our hero turned his thoughts back to his research. The only reason he knew how to make the goblins retreat was that he had studied them in an old archival book. Work for knowledge is power, but his thoughts are interrupted by another sound. He raises his head and sees. The girls are once again surrounded by a crowd of goblins. His stealth is perfect for quiet one-on-one takedowns, but against such a horde it is powerless. His eyes rummage through the chaos, searching, and finally he finds him, the goblin boss. Bingo, remove the boss, and the entire command structure collapses. He quickly adds a point to his strength. He suddenly disappears, slips through the rows of goblins completely unnoticed, and flies onto the leader's back, plunging a dagger deep into his skull. The strike was brutal and flawless. The boss instantly vanished, completely destroyed, and collapsed in a heap, while the nearby goblins looked at him bewildered. The system immediately rewarded him 1 kill, boosted him by 3 ranks at once, and a powerful surge of strength took his breath away for a moment. As he predicted, the crowd without a leader begins to panic and scatter. But one goblin makes a last desperate attempt, lunging straight at Paula. There is no time to think. He touches the screen and invests a point in explosiveness. He becomes a blurred spot, moving so fast that he almost teleports, and stabs the dagger into the goblin just a few centimeters from his target. Another life saved, another monster felled. Finally, they find themselves safe by the lake. The girls thank him for everything, and he says, "Be careful." They wave goodbye, and he returns to the forest to finish the hunt. By nightfall, he has noticeably leveled up. He even managed to deal with that monstrous forest barbarian he was warned about. He checks his status, 10 points accumulated, enough for now. He heads to the guild, determined to find out anything about the convoy transporting Lavia. He looks inside, and his eyes meet Lavia's eyes. But he is greeted not only by her. There are also 3 girls he saved, ready to expose the betrayal of their former squadmates. Lavia persistently asks him to testify about the goblin horde. But he hadn't even managed to comprehend the request when she grabs his cloak. Her face is a mask of sweet, almost frantic jealousy. "After what you did that day, and now flirting with other girls, what's wrong with you?" she demands. Our guy, completely confused, agrees to explain everything over dinner. Lavia drags the whole team to a restaurant famous for its pasta. The girls he saved are simply shocked how expensive it is. The hero was annoyed by its size. He has no time for this, but Lavia knew the girls would follow him anyway, so she decided to tame the chaos. Suddenly, Kinson and the restaurant owner appear. The owner recognized our hero as a rabbit hunter and directly offered to buy from him what is usually thrown away, the entrails, so he wouldn't have to go to the guild and he could earn some extra money. Everyone wins. The owner introduces himself as Hikaru, and a wildly awkward but funny moment ensues when our guy has to say, "My name is Hikaru." The owner liked his manner so much that he declared, "Their entire meal is on the house." The girls exploded with joy as soon as they heard about the free food. Hala, so impressed by his generosity and heroism that she was flustered, blurted out that she would become his slave for 9 nights, and thereby embarrassed everyone at the table. Over a plate of delicious pasta, our hero explains his strategy. He knew from an old encyclopedia that goblin hordes are built around a chain of command: remove the leader, and the army will fall apart. Lavia impressed, he read everything. The girls are simply depressed. They realize how far behind they have fallen. Aya asks how she can even repay him, and makes a proposal. Let's say her gratitude will be very personal. Paula enthusiastically agrees, while Avia desperately tries to completely stop this conversation. Our hero waved it off, but still has one request. He asks Levia to keep all this a secret, especially the part about the treacherous travelers. He wants to remain in the shadows. Paolo was about to protest when he suddenly said he had one more question for Lavia. Are the adventurers assigned to the capital escort convoy already in the city? He asks. Lavia's shocked face said it all. She is simply amazed by his wit. He confirms tonight a quartet is to arrive, a purely female team of B rank. Others are just stunned. In a city like Pondo, B level is a big deal. Levia looks at him with serious eyes, tells him their name, the 4 stars of the East, and they have a perfect 100 mission completion rate. The hero's face hardens. He is about to face a flawless opponent. Our unsuspecting hero receives a brief report. Levia is being escorted by so-called B-rank adventurers. But the info gets hot. It turns out the legendary quartet called the 4 Stars of the East actually leads the caravan, and when the plan hangs by a thread, our guy decides he must see these legends with his own eyes. Meanwhile, the guild master and his deputy are chuckling about something, not at all concerned with the high-stakes mission. Their quiet conversation is suddenly interrupted by a suspicious guy who asks whom they were talking about. The man and his 2 no less suspicious friends step out of the shadows, puffing out their chests. We are distant shining stars, they shout with the confidence of a wet paper bag. Watching from afar, our hero is simply shocked. He is only rank C, but even he can see these guys are a complete joke. These are not 4 stars of the East, they are just 3 clowns. This is definitely not the information I received, he mutters, squinting. Something is seriously wrong here. He activates his skills, and his gaze is fixed on the crew leader. A quick scan showed his stats are pathetic. He has a life detection skill, but it is so weak that our guy's stealth completely fools it. A look at the other 2 only confirms his suspicions. They are all cheap adventurers, so he decides to just sit and watch this mess unfold. The leader Nabuza is already boasting, bragging that they only need 3 for this job. Bandits aren't stupid enough to attack us, he said with a condescending smile, radiating undeserved, simply epic confidence. He came so close to the guild master's face and demanded respect. We are not substitutes, you can count on us being better than them. The guild master, drenched in sweat, could only stammer and agree, as if handing them the keys to the entire city. The deputy master tries to intervene, asking why they need to stay overnight before a mission that starts during the day. And the thugs just brushed him off and walked out the door, strolling as if they were the owners here. The old man sighed, lamenting how far the capital's guild has fallen. They promoted ranks so thoughtlessly that they even invented a new one, Sword Master. It turns out this title belongs to none other than the legendary captain of the Royal Knights, Lawrence Dono. Our hero has already seen enough. This funny gang is his golden opportunity. A smile stretched across his face. I'm lucky, he thinks, rushing into the night. The security is weak, the plan is tricky. Tomorrow is the day. Tomorrow he will save Levia. Meanwhile, at the estate where Lavia is held, 2 guards stood on duty, and one was uneasy. He did not believe she was a killer, especially since the investigator had not yet appeared. Our beloved captain told us to simply follow orders. His partner reminds him of this, but doubt still does not leave. Inside, the deputy master is closely watching the transfer. He explains that Lavia's handcuffs are magical and made to remove themselves after a certain time. They will last only until tonight, no longer. He says goodbye to the night and leaves. Lavia is led out into the blinding sun, and a mask of cold indifference is frozen on her face. A sudden gust of wind seems to confuse her. She staggered and almost fell. When the knight enveloped her, anxiety froze on his face. When they approach the carriage, the knight sees an elite squad of adventurers waiting for them, and his face darkens. What does this mean? He sharply addresses the guild master. They are not the adventurers we asked for. The guild master simply shrugs, as if telling the knight, shut up and do your job. Our guy stands aside and soaks up everything happening here like a sponge. The leader of the adventurers, Nabuza, lets out a chilling laugh, staring at Levia with disgust. A real beauty, huh? Has the knight lost his patience? Are you drunk? Nabuza only smiles crookedly and retorts, what if we really are? the knight grits his teeth and says he cannot escort her in such a state. He turns to Lavia and, trying to calm her, says they are almost at their destination. He carefully helps her up and assists her in sitting in the prison wagon. The other knights are simply boiling. They could not have been guards because they were witnesses at the manor, and these are the ones sent by the guild. There were not enough people, so they simply had no choice. To top it all off, Nabuza whistled at Levia when she was locked up, the last cruel mockery. The knight is fed up. He stomps and heads to the coachman, the only one with the key. "Curls, come here." He approaches the poor man closely and threateningly, says that if anything happens, he will be blamed. Then he pushes that boy towards the carriage. "Now go away from here." The carriage drives off, leaving the knight boiling with disappointment. At that moment, a voice called him by name. But it's the captain of the knights himself, Lawrence. He explains that the king sent him to supervise. Knight Asudo begs him to accompany the caravan, insisting that adventurers cannot be trusted, but the captain refuses. He must follow the rules and wait for the investigator. The convoy has already confidently set off on the road. After passing the checkpoint, the coachman begins to feel a strange sensation. Suddenly, the carriage seemed heavier than before. He shook his head, thinking that it was all just his imagination, while they were crossing the bridge. On the open road, boredom sneaks up on Nabuza. He approaches and ends up next to the driver. "Driver, give me the key," he demands. The frightened driver hesitates, but Nabuza shows his rank C status, and the old man understands there is no choice. This whole mission is just a payday for these clowns. But before he can grab the key, his partner shouts, "Nagusa, look ahead." In a cloak, a figure looms over what looks like a dead body in the middle of the road and asks for water. Here is our guy in an incredible transformation. One of the thugs throws him a water skin. Nabuza shouts at him, "Go away," and our hero extends a small pouch of coins in gratitude. Nabuza's greed takes over. He puffs out his chest and orders the traveler to spread his name everywhere. Nabuza Gagiego, hero R. Our guy just nods, understood. Soon Nabuza yawns. He is deadly bored. And that's it, he will no longer tolerate it. He glances back at the carriage. "Hey coachman, time to rest, stop the cart." He slapped the old man, snatched the key, and with a wicked smile declared, "I will keep the lady company, I will kill her." He unlocks the door, and his intentions are disgustingly clear. He reaches inside, grabs the blanket, and covers the sleeping figure. With a wild smile, he tears it off, and his eyes opened wide. The bed is empty. Nabuza is going crazy. The woman they were escorting has disappeared. His team is in complete panic. The prisoner is gone. A few hours ago, in the same carriage, Levia's hopes slowly crumbled. Our hero promised to save her, but did not come. It turned out to be only a fleeting hope. No one would dare to challenge the king to save her. She sighs and a sad memory flows. She was told since childhood that happiness escapes with every sigh. "Hey, please don't raise your voice," Lavia gasped. "Our guy is right there in the carriage with her." He quickly put a finger to her lips, silencing her before she could scream. Her shock melted into pure, sincere joy. He really came for her. This man is her savior. He quickly lays out his incredibly epic plan, saw the handcuffs with a timer, watched her being put into the carriage, and suddenly realized the only key was with the coachman. Waited until they left the city. Jumped onto the roof when the guards were distracted. Quickly snatched the key from the driver. And hiding behind a passing merchant, sneaked inside, flawlessly. Now the most important part begins, he says, handing her a cloak, and tells her to make a figurine out of the blanket. First, he must check her soul board, whether there is a stealth skill there. Then he reveals his main secret. Unlike ordinary people, his skills do not level up by themselves. He sees and can control the souls of anyone within a 5-meter radius of himself. This means he can literally climb into someone else's stats and twist them as he wishes. He activates his skill, and suddenly her stats appear before him. She is not a master of stealth, but her magical thinking is off the charts. And here he notices what breaks his heart. Her surname Morgstad is completely erased, and she has been disowned. Not a minute to hesitate, he throws points into a new skill, group blocking. This allows him to pass on his ability to be invisible to everyone he touches. He pushes it to the maximum, and a shared field of invisibility arises around them. Maybe it's not perfect, but it's their only chance. He lays out the escape plan. They will jump out together. "Don't let go of my hand," he says, and seriousness rings in his voice. She, blushing, takes his hand and nods, "All right." At that very moment, one of the travelers approached the door. The carriage stops. This is probably it. They get out of the carriage, holding hands, and calmly walk right past the guards, who notice absolutely nothing. A mind explosion occurred in Levia. completely invisible. They calmly move away from the road and enter the tall grass, as if dissolving into the landscape. As soon as they are safe, he explains the next step: to hide in the nearby town of Pondo and merge with the caravan. He is convinced that some nobleman set her up, and Pondo is under the direct control of the royal family. No sane nobleman would risk hiding a fugitive right under the king's nose. Suddenly he grabs her and pulls her down into the grass. "What is this?" she whispers. He puts a finger to his lips and listens intently. "Hooves fast." No, he grits his teeth, his face grim. A lonely knight gallops at full speed towards the convoy. This guy is made differently. He looks much stronger than the others. This is very, very bad. And if that knight catches the carriage and sees that it is gone, the whole area will be swarming with search parties. They urgently need to return to Pondo. Only then can he prove his alibi. If he is not in the city when the news breaks, he will immediately become the prime suspect. "Stay here and don't move," he says to Lavia. "I will slow down this night." He pulls on the mask, his determination becoming even firmer. He invests the last few skill points into weapon mastery and raises the throwing skill to level 2. He lifts the stone. "Calm down, I will handle this." That night no one else appeared, but Captain Lawrence worried about suspicious adventurers. He decided to join the convoy himself. But as he gallops down the road, a stone flying at impossible speed crashes right into his horse's head. The horse is completely destroyed, but Lawrence, like a cat, landed on his feet and remained completely unharmed. He draws his sword, his voice thundering over the field. "My name is Lawrence D. Falcon of the Honorary Order of Knights. You must be ready to die." Our guy froze in amazement. Before him stands the legendary swordsman himself. All the information he had turned out to be false. He urgently needs to see this guy's soulboard. Lawrence emits a threatening aura. It is so palpable, like a true power that makes the air vibrate. Our hero trembles. This incredible might simply overwhelms him. He cannot run. He needs to get closer. He stealthily crawls through the grass. 8 meters, 6. 2 more steps. Suddenly Lawrence sharply turned his head toward me and cast a terrifying look. "He found me." "Are you there, coward?" Lawrence roars. But our hero understands. The knight really does not see him. His stealth does not fail. He approaches so close that he sees the board of souls and blood runs cold in his veins. The indicators are terrifying. Muscle mass 16, two-handed sword 6, heavenly sword. This guy is simply a monster. If he hadn't stopped him, it would have ended. Game over. Now he will have to win this battle with a small stone. Suddenly Lawrence sharply points right at him. "It's you, isn't it?" Then he points to Lavia's hideout 50 meters away. "Is Lavia with you?" How his intuition is like a cheat code. In panic, our guy swallows another stone with all his might. And Lawrence just smiles slyly, and with one wrist flick, slices the tiny stone in half. Before our hero could react, a new enemy appeared right next to him, one of the suspicious adventurers from the convoy. This is the end. The traveler's attack slammed into the ground and raised a huge explosion of mud and grass. But when the dust settles, Lawrence looks confused. "I missed the strike," flew past. Few steps away, our hero stumbles, blood dripping from his hand. It was close. If not for my explosive power, I would already be dead. Gasping, he looks angrily at the captain. "You monster." Trapped, wounded, and facing 2 enemies much stronger than him, what is he to do? Our guy is cornered and faces the monster named Lawrence face to face. The memory of that last attack flashed in his head. If his explosive power and skill hadn't saved him from the blow, he would already be dead, he thinks. Damn, what now? Because this guy is a real huge problem. He clenches his bleeding hand and pain pierces him. "Calm down," he whispers to himself, trying to focus. First of all, he has to hide the evidence. He tears a piece of cloak and, with a grimace, tightens a makeshift bandage with his teeth. He stealthily maps out the battlefield in his head. Lawrence on the road, the meadow his only cover. The plan is to cross the road and keep away, but even he knows this is at best a half measure. What will happen next? This guy Lawrence is a completely different level. With one swing, he can cut a pebble in the air as if it were nothing. Our hero is confused. Lawrence is merciless, and an open fight is suicide. He racks his brain. How did he even notice that pebble? Did Lawrence know where he was hiding? And suddenly, like a blow, a terrible realization struck. Not that he saw the pebble, but that the pebble moved away from him. His hiding skill has a limited radius. The pebble he just threw left that invisibility bubble. Lawrence probably sensed the change in the wind and reacted with pure, wild instinct. What a beast. He understands that a boy with superhuman senses stands against him. He knows there is only one way out, and it is a risky move. And suddenly the grass covers him. It's Lavia. He grabbed her, his voice a hoarse whisper. "Why did you come?" Her face is pale with horror. "Let's run away, Hikaru. It doesn't matter if we don't return to that town," she begged, her voice trembling. "That man, it's too risky." And then she sees it. His hands are sticky with blood. She gasped, but he interrupted her. "Listen," he said in an anxious voice. "The bleeding does not stop." He tells the bitter truth. Returning to the city is almost a death sentence. Lawrence will sooner or later find out that she is gone, and the guards will rush to look for them, and he cannot treat himself without raising a million red flags. And leaving her alone in a forest full of monsters, while he is out of commission, that's not an option. His eyes narrowed, determination burned in them. This is too dangerous. He sees overwhelming anxiety in her eyes, but at the same time fierce determination. She is trying to be strong for his sake. He takes her hand, squeezes it tightly. He knows what he must do. "I'm not returning without you," he says, his voice full of resolve. "We follow the plan and overthrow Lawrence." He looks her straight in the eyes, straight at both of us, me and you. She froze in surprise, and I too. He does not embellish. Both options are terribly dangerous, but he would rather take the risk, try and fail while trying to grasp the future, than just run away and wait for the end. "Will you help me?" he asks, and her face instantly lights up with determination. "I will help. After everything you have done for me, putting myself in danger is nothing." Meanwhile, Lawrence prowls along the edge of the field, all his senses alert. He knows they are there. "You can hide, but you won't escape," he growls. "These are not just ordinary thugs." He follows their tracks, but the clues contradict each other. The tracks are clumsy, amateurish, yet their skill at disappearing is like that of a pro. He scanned the road with his eyes. They probably crossed it, but he noticed nothing, so they are still in the grass. He notices a barely noticeable movement, but dismisses it as an animal. The only thing that troubles him is that the attacker did not try anything else. He sighs, broken. They escaped. He will no longer waste his time on them. He indifferently flicks a pebble. Ding. It bounces off the head of his dead horse with absurd contempt. But suddenly he froze. Behind him explodes a terrible, threatening pressure. He spins to see an incredibly gigantic magical circle come to life on the ground, crackling and sparking. This is true epic magic of the highest level, which would make a royal wizard sweat. He notices a pair of hands sticking out of the grass, a wizard, and he rushes forward, ready to erase them before the spell can take effect. But it is a trap. While his sword cuts through the bait, our guy emerges from the shadows. The blade is already pressed to his throat, a perfect counterattack. Lawrence shuddered, realizing he had been trolled. He is completely confused. "Why you?" our boss says to coolly. "If you don't want to bleed out, I advise you not to move." With the last savage cut across Lawrence's neck, he turns and leaves. "An ordinary person would have died from this, but I know you will survive." Lawrence, clutching his throat, demands to know who he is, and our hero looks back over his shoulder, a sly smile playing on his lips. "I am Silverface." Lawrence collapses to his knees as the mysterious figure walks away. The name echoes in his head, Silverface. A chill ran down his skin with the realization. He was spared. If that spell had worked, he would have evaporated. "Damn it," he hissed in anger. A little later, both of them were already safe, hidden in a shopping cart rolling through the city gates. They succeeded. Finally safe, they landed on the cargo and rested. Levia worries and asks about his wound, and he smiles and says that now everything is fine. Turned out the merchants had healing potions, a magical liquid that not only stopped the bleeding, but also reconnected torn muscles. It takes a few hours to fully heal, but this is a true miracle of modern magic. Just then, with a quiet clinking, the magic in Lavia's handcuffs fails and they fall to the floor. It seems luck has finally turned back to them. Finally, they find an inn where they can spend the night. Our guy tells Lavia that he has to run out briefly to take care of a few matters and leaves her to rest. His destination is the Adventurers Guild. He crashes right into a friendly receptionist, all part of his plan to create a solid alibi. She notices that he is a bit pale, and he brushes it off, saying it's just a tough night. After making sure there are no good quests for him, he thanks her and leaves. He is sure that he covered his tracks. He bursts into their room again with a loud bang, causing Levia to jump and fall. "Oh, sorry," he says, helping her up. He explains that he was just finishing up a task. She looks at him. Curiosity finally takes over. "Levia," he asks. She blushes. "I'm a little curious." She asks with interest if his invisibility also muffles sound. He says he can try to speak more quietly. And then, in an act that knocks even himself off his feet, he leans in and kisses her. He pulls back, stunned by his own boldness, and Levia just sits down and looks at him with those transparent, honest eyes. "I said I would give you everything if you saved me. Aren't you afraid of me?" he asks, still stunned, and admits that he is unworthy of respect and has done terrible things. She just looks at him intently. "Didn't I say I would give you everything if you saved me? Do you remember?" When his face falls and the weight of the moment hits him, so do I. "I will not go back on my word," she says, and her voice does not tremble. whether you are a cruel, cold-blooded man, a rotten undead, or even a monster pretending to be human. The realization overwhelmed him like a tsunami. She was not just saying words. She accepted him completely. For many years he feared his own power, feared it would consume him and he would lose everything. But Levia was different. She could accept him. The air in the room seemed to tense. "Will you really give me everything you have?" he asks. She takes a step toward him, her cheeks burning with shame. "I heard the first time hurts. I'll try not to make too much noise." Her only request: "I would like to hold your hand all the time." Over time, she offered him everything and accepted him as he is. His eyes soften. Now he thinks it's his turn. A new day rises over the building that looks like the local adventurers guild. And the morning is already in full swing. But all pleasant moments instantly end when Freya tells Aurora that the big boss Lunkinson himself wants to talk to her. The scene shifts to a very gloomy office. Lunkin, who looked as if he were 1,000 years old, delivers stunning news. The mission to escort the brightest star of the squad suffered a catastrophic failure. Aurora froze as if rooted to the spot and immediately imagined the worst. Was it a bandit ambush or an attack by a mutated monster? But Lunkin just shook his head, and this is even stranger. According to the adventurers and their guild, the girl they were guarding simply disappeared. She was just in the carriage, and then in a moment, poof, like a ghost, and she was gone. Lunkin seems to be tearing out his beard from stress. All this stinks, and he says there are two main reasons why this story is full of holes. At first, the caretaker testified that the traveler Nagius's team demanded the keys to the carriage. Aurora immediately called them idiots, and this whole situation becomes extremely suspicious. The second problem: the knight who was supposed to be in the escort never appeared. Supposedly bandits attacked him. Imagine it was not some random guard, it was the commander of the knights himself, Lawrence de Falcon, the one and only holy sword. Aurora cannot believe her ears. The sword saint stopped by a gang of simple robbers, and Lunkin adds the last funny detail: the attacker turned out to be a boy who called himself Silverface. The room explodes with simultaneous, crazy screams. Did the child defeat the sword saint? This is not just impossible, it is a complete violation of the laws of physics and common sense. Aurora tries to understand it somehow, thinking that maybe this boy is simply naturally gifted, a true once-in-a-generation combo prodigy. But Lunkin has no more information, so they are left with two completely separate, crazy events. Grasping the edge of the table, Lunkin asks Freya if there are any particularly skilled adventurers in the district. Aurora narrowed down the questions and directly asked about any skilled men from Deyang. Lunkin immediately did not recall anyone, but noted that their boy Hikaru was busy studying the day before. All this, a very interesting coincidence. Having no other clues, Lunkin decides to ask Gloria, although he hopes for little. Meanwhile, our hero is showing Levia around the city, and she is simply delighted. Her face was glowing with pure, sincere joy. He points to the shops with weapons and armor, something no true adventure city is without. He already imagines their future and hopes to bring her back here when all this mess is over. Then he points to their next stop, the Adventurers Guild. As soon as Lavia saw it, she froze, trembling from head to toe. This place, this symbol of freedom and adventure, a dream she never thought she would reach. Her emotions overwhelmed her, and she simply burst into tears of happiness. Hikaru is a bit confused by the sudden splash of water, but Levia quickly composes herself, her eyes sparkling with excitement. She's so eager to go inside. She is almost jumping on the walls, but our hopeless hero pulls out his signature trolling. He tells her they will go another day. Her face falls so fast it could crack the asphalt. Fortunately, the appetizing smell of baked goods wafts from the neighboring bakery, saving this awkward moment. After a quick snack, Hikaru finally reveals his real plan. For the second half of the day, they are heading out of town. Time to prepare for the adventure, or rather, to test her incredibly powerful magic. Levia's excitement instantly returned in full. But they walk into the open fields, leaving the city behind. He confidently assures her it is safe here as long as they stay away from the mountains. The view takes their breath away. A huge field of grass stretches out before them, so endless that a horse would need a whole day to cross it. Just before the start of the magic show, Hikaru asks to see her soul map. They enthusiastically explain their essentially fantastic credentials in the world of fantasy. He looks at hers and immediately notices there is no surname, it just says Lavia. She meets his gaze, her voice quiet but firm, and says, "Because now I am free." The weight of these words is simply epic. He dodges her question about the blessing of his map. Instead, her skin. She shows him the reverse side, and there is a whole novel, and the list of skills and characteristics is simply absurd. He aimed at one in particular, the principle of magic, but she has no idea what it is. Her magic just appeared. So he tells her, show him. She begins to enthusiastically explain the magic of spirits and elements, and so the incantation begins. Answer my call, spirits with primal fire burn. A huge ball of fire burst from her hands, scorching the ground in a chaotic explosion of power. Hikaru froze speechless. This wild display of power was fire breath, the simplest of possible fire spells. He instantly compares in his mind. The adventurer Syrinx has 4 points in sword, the guildmaster has 6, and Levia has 5 points in fire. She is a walking nuclear bomb. She looks at him, her face full of anxiety. Aren't you afraid of me? He doesn't even hesitate. Of course not. The relief that washes over her is immense. She admits that she was terribly afraid he would leave her as soon as he saw her true power. He pulls her closer and confesses that he felt exactly the same when he told her about his powers, those that defy human understanding. At that moment, a connection of a completely new level arose between them. He promises he will never leave her. He realized that the light show probably attracted someone's attention. They decided to quickly run away. As they walk, he asks her how many of those she can shoot. She indifferently replies, about 30 times. Inspired, our guy decides to try and perfectly reproduces her spell. In the end, absolutely nothing, only a deaf, pure silence. Lavia says that for her everything was different. The first time her magic manifested was accidental. In the memory, frightened little Lavia watches as the horse suddenly rears up. Her fear causes a huge, uncontrollable explosion of magical energy, which instantly knocks the horse and 2 adults unconscious. Her suspicious father learns the news, and a sinister smile spreads across his face as he calls his daughter. Then the real horror begins. He tests her, forcing her to fight monsters he brought to the estate. During the experiments, her incredible gift of fire magic flared up, the training dummy burned to ashes. Her father beams with joy, not because he is proud, but because he finally found how to use her. Since then she became a prisoner, cut off from everyone, and was forever forbidden to leave the mansion. Returning to the present, she frankly told Hikaru the whole rotten truth. Her father and the king planned to turn her into a living weapon for the future war. Hikaru's face twisted with rage. It's so cruel. But Lavia looks resolutely ahead. The past is just the past. The scientist in him takes over again, and he begins to break down her magic step by step. She explains that although her fire breath is powerful, she cannot change the amount of energy it uses. She can only choose where it appears and where it flies. He realized that those 5 points of fire are the reason why her fireballs are so gigantic compared to others. Then he asks if she can change its shape or compress it, ideas that never occurred to her. They decided to postpone the experiment. No one dares to risk another huge explosion now. She teases him, smilingly calling him a scientist. He asks another question. Has she always been this strong? She shakes her head. Her magic grew stronger over time, even without training. Hikaru understands. When her soul rank increased, the points automatically went into her fire and magical power. She assures that she never did anything special for this to happen. This phenomenon occurs when a person awakens an extraordinary natural talent. And Lavia jokingly asks the professor if he has already figured it out. And he just smiles. The mystery becomes even deeper. They truly laughed, and the burden of the past was lifted for a moment. They walk home holding hands. Our hero silently vows to build a happy life for both of them. The story suddenly takes us to the small village of Manhwa, where workers are picking tomatoes. The local pastor greets them with a warm smile. They enthusiastically praised their famous sun-dried tomatoes. He tenderly recalls a girl named Paula, a true master at peeling them. One of the workers, for some reason, apologizes. The pastor looked away, smiled sadly, and said that the boy did well. After a light elbow from a friend for bringing up a painful topic, the pastor claps his hands and announces with a smile, "That's all for today." Suddenly, the ground beneath the feet begins to tremble wildly. It is not an earthquake, but one of the men feels a deep, piercing horror. Above the mountains, the sky darkens and takes on a threatening appearance. Something terrible is approaching. Returning to the city, our boy sells pieces of monsters in the shop. It is specifically about the innards of the red-horned rabbit. The seller was so delighted that he slapped Hikaru on the back so hard that he almost flew away. Then he starts jumping around the room like a madman. Our boy is completely confused. When the sun sets, he recalls how the day passed. He tried Levia's magic and caught a monster. Levia is safe in the hotel, but he knows he urgently needs to raise her rank to unlock the ability to become invisible. He returns to the noisy Adventurers Guild, noticing Freya and Gloria behind the counter. He approaches Gloria to collect the money for his loot. She hands him a heavy pouch with 9,000 gillons and says that he will get a promotion very soon. The smile instantly disappears, her eyes become cold as steel. Where were you the day before yesterday? The question hit him like a physical blow. Before he could stammer out a lie, Freya suddenly cheerfully intervened and covered for him, confirming that he had been studying all day. He barely dodged a huge bullet, but now he knows. Gloria suspects everything. Fry calls him to sit a little longer, until the guild closes. But Gloria is not finished yet. She leans in, her voice lowers and asks if the civil blessing is really the only mark on his card. She is probing for the truth, and is almost about to uncover it. Our guy immediately said no, and instantly ran away from there, refusing to go for a drink. He goes outside and meets Freya. She says that Lunken called her about Count Morgsted's case. The official version is presented like this. Supposedly, the Knight Commander was just wounded by some young bandit, and they completely omit that he was actually blown apart by some guy. The soldier survived, but barely. They both agree. At first glance, these two events seem unrelated. But Hikaru understands. Gloria's sharp questions were because she already knew all this. The guild will not touch this matter now. It is a national issue. As they part, Freya points to her house, the bakery that was there before. He told her that he had already tried their bread and loved it very much. She blushed and, unable to hold back, invited him to dinner. She instantly panics, shouts it doesn't matter, and rushes down the street, leaving a very confused Hikaru behind. For now, he decided to hide in the shadows and fully focus on protecting Levia. The next day at the guild, three young adventuresses argue heatedly. They are trying to form a new team, but as three low-ranking women, they cannot find anyone who would take them seriously. One of them notices our hero, just at the moment when the door suddenly opened. A beaten and bloodied man stumbles inside and collapses on the floor. This is Pippin, a man from their village. He brushed off their fears. Panic filled his voice. Monsters are pouring out of the dungeon. With his last strength, he shouts, "Our village is in danger." Pippin, who was brought before Lunken. They tremblingly recounted the story of a huge earthquake that happened the day before. Behind them, an avalanche of monsters from the dungeon of the Forest of Deception was rushing, chasing the frightened adventurers straight to their village. Lankin asks a grim but inevitable question. What happened to those travelers? His eyes darken, the air seems already dead. Pippin's silence is the only answer that was needed. A wave of shock and horror swept through the guild. The situation is critical. The monsters were from the middle levels of the dungeon. Lunken explains, the Forest of Deception is an artificial dungeon created by the dungeon master. A labyrinth of roots and trees stretching over 5 levels. Aurora carefully reviews her notes. On the middle floors lives a whole selection of vile creatures, and sometimes even C-rank monsters, like wyverns, appear. Although rarely, a monster influx has already occurred. Dungeons are living, self-sufficient ecosystems where the ruler absorbs life to create new monsters. The situation is getting out of control, and Lunken says he will decide on a plan by tomorrow. The next day in the royal capital, Commander of the Knights, Lawrence has already returned to training. His wounds are healing insanely fast. Princess Cujastoria visited him, who without hesitation releases her guards, placing full trust in the kingdom's best swordsman. She brings terrible news. Her father, the king, made a shocking decision. Due to dungeon overcrowding, he decided to abandon it. He thinks that sooner or later, the monsters will simply cease to exist. When Lawrence points out that there is a village nearby, the princess confirms. The king has one and only plan: evacuation. Lawrence's eyes narrowed. Clearly something was very wrong here. The king resists. He will not send the army and forbids high-ranking adventurers from intervening all because he desires war with the neighboring empire. The princess is deeply troubled by her father's recent actions. From his obsession with Count Morgsted's daughter to the fact that now he has abandoned his people. They gaze at the capital and wonder, will this path really lead them to a bright future? In the Lunken Guild, the royal decree slammed on the table and loudly cursed King Pyjadid. What must be done? He descends downstairs, where Pippin and the others are waiting, and brings devastating news. The army will not come. Even worse, the guilds are not allowed to send anyone of rank C or higher. They can only offer escort during the evacuation. Haya, one of the newcomers from Anilka, explodes. You will abandon us, she shouts, her voice breaking with anger and despair. They cannot just leave their homes, their fields, everything they have worked for. She demands an answer, why the army is not helping. And when Lunken cannot answer, she lashes out at him and calls him a freak. She firmly says that if no one else volunteers, she herself will stand up and fight the monsters. Aurora tries to persuade her they are only G ranks. It is a suicide mission. Papaya is resolute. She will not go to the dungeon. She will defend her home. Home, she returns to her friends, and they without hesitation agree to stand by her. When they try to leave, Aurora begs them to stop. Gloria boldly showed off and ordered Lunkin to let them go. She was already one step ahead, found a loophole, created special quests for taming and escorting, which lower-rank adventurers can take. There is little money, so only a few adventurers can be taken. And she is already reaching out for help to the royal capital. The official request was published. Lunkin sent out a call, will anyone from this guild dare to go? Meanwhile, in the guild of the royal capital, adventurers grumble there are no quests about the Forest of Deception. At that very moment, the door suddenly opened, and the legendary team ran in. They have returned. 4 stars of the East. The entire guild buzzes from their presence. They receive a brief report from the receptionist, information about the monster invasion, and a royal decree forbidding the dispatch of high-ranking people. There are no official requests, and it seems their hands are tied. But their leader Solus just smiles. A challenge gleams in her eyes. It seems the kingdom does not want us to act, but I don't remember sending an order to hold back again, right? A true savage, Lufal found. She turns to the team and says, shall we go? Their goal is clear. 4 stars from the East set out. Our guy in Lavia quickly checked the status, and the soul rank of my girl sharply jumped from 6 to 8. He already believes that everything is decided. She will easily reach the 11th rank by tomorrow, but instead of bringing the loot to the Lavia guild, she is fussing, gathering some very specific herbs. They are not going to the adventure guild. Oh no, they are walking down a dark corridor lit by torches, leading to something much bigger, an exclusive establishment. Inside, a man with a noticeable scar and a "don't mess with me" look is slouched in a chair. This is Kelbeck, the head of the Thieves Guild, and he immediately asks without unnecessary words if there is some suspicious reason behind this visit. Our hero, calm as a cucumber, says he heard from a friend, Black Moon herb is useful for kidney diseases. And then he dropped a bomb, his voice quiet but firm. That friend is already dead. Kelbeck tries to tease him, saying he didn't think our loner had friends, but he coldly puts him in his place. It's none of your business. Harsh. The mood changes. Kelbeck asks if the actor he lent managed his task. And we find out what that task was, to help the daughter of a certain count disappear from the carriage so that no trace remained. Kelbeck wonders how someone can just vanish into thin air. This makes the gears in our hero's head start turning. He recalls another case when someone sneaked into a room completely unnoticed. Kelbeck leans forward with a sly smile, as if sensing the scent of intrigue, or is it just a coincidence? And this is the last straw. Our guy simply explodes, his face contorts into a mask of pure rage. What are you trying to say by this? He growls, and Kelbeck is so stunned he almost falls out of his chair. Guildmaster instantly raises his hands and retreats like a madman. Hey, stop. It's a joke, just a joke. He kept apologizing incessantly. And our hero, as always a pragmatist, calms down and says they can still do business. Kelbeck just sighs, clearly thinking this guy is much more trouble than he's worth. Farewell, Kelbeck sells him several truly useful magical items, one that makes holes in walls, another that combines fire and wind into a powerful explosion, and even a healing item he got by bribing a priest in the Templier. Guy knows this will definitely come in handy. In 2 days, a real chaos erupted in the Adventurers Guild. They just announced the dungeon is overcrowded. And it turns out Polly's hometown is right in the danger zone. There is only one problem: this zone is now accessible only to adventurers of rank D and above, and our guy is still only rank G. But this guy is well prepared. He notices that the kingdom seems to be abandoning the forest, even though there is literally a gold mine there. He fully lays out his theory. This is an artificial dungeon that brings in a lot of profit. But the guild receptionist starts sweating profusely. He doesn't stop pressing. A living mind is much more valuable. Could the kingdom be preparing something much bigger, for example, a war? She cannot withstand the pressure and breaks down, but our guy lets her go. He says he understands. He finds out that Palia and her friends have already set off to Mainilka and thanks the confused receptionist. He goes outside and Lavia is already there, having eavesdropped the whole time thanks to her new ability to hide perception. She suddenly smiles and says that she has leveled up and invested all points in stealth and agility. And just then, with a confident smile, he drops a truth bomb. He can interfere with other people's soul boards. Levi caught his breath. He realized this power can only be used on the person he trusts with all his heart. He asks her what she thinks and what they should do about this whole situation in the dungeon. I love, and suddenly there is dead silence. He says that allowing Palia to die will leave a bitter aftertaste, but Lavalakis clings to one word, dungeon, and a spark instantly lights up in her eyes because the dungeon is her true passion. And then her brain jumped to the most far-fetched conclusion. She blushed madly and awkwardly asks if he likes Polar. Our guy is completely confused by this sudden turn. But Lavia is already in a full emotional whirl. convinced that he has fallen in love with another. Seeing her despair, he grabbed her by the shoulders, his voice firm and sincere. "Don't worry, I love you." Meanwhile, two nun-peepers watch from afar, and fanatically despair. They clearly want those two to become a couple. The next day, the guild is empty. The receptionist panics. Our hero has disappeared, probably already heading to Manhwa. A friend pulls her aside and whispers hot gossip about what was happening in the Royal Capital Guild. As for whatever this news is, it is big and they know it will make some act. Meanwhile, our hero and Lavia race across the plains on horseback, trying to catch up with Pola's squad. But in the distance, they see plumes of smoke rising into the sky. The hut is engulfed in blazing flames. Outside, a bunch of thugs stand guard, and our guy watches in horror as one of them kicks a girl in a hood and knocks her to the ground. Without hesitating for a second, he says to Levia, "Let's go." Inside Paul's hell, she and her friends are suffocating from smoke. They are trapped. They know fighting means signing their own death warrant. But one of them, Priscilla, comes up with a desperate plan. Wait until the wall falls, then rush straight into attack. But at that very moment, a calm voice cut through the roar of flames. "If we go out through the east window, there will be no one there." This is our hero perched in the window frame, as if it's nothing for him. Everyone present froze in shock. Paul can hardly believe his eyes. Hikaru-sama. He insists that they move. Everything here is about to collapse. They broke out outside just at the moment when the roof began to collapse. It was incredibly close. His plan is simple. Levia is hidden nearby, ready to unleash magic, level the hut to the ground, and sow panic. But of course, our eternally hot-tempered friend ruins, everything shouting a challenge to the bandits. Our guy just sighs, completely tired of his nonsense. The fight had not yet begun when a scream tore through the air, freezing blood in the veins. The knight on a dazzling white horse seemed to appear out of thin air, and one of the bandits was already lying on the ground. This newcomer is a true giant. She surveys the situation with an icy gaze. "I, the ruler of the land of the four eastern stars," she says, pointing with her sword. "Arrest you." What an epic entrance. The bandits are tied up. Solus addresses the group. The hot-tempered guy showers her with thanks, and she just laughs it off. But our main hero watches her like a hawk, squinting suspiciously. Pola calls him just a passerby. He pretends and says he was supposedly heading to Manhwa. He quietly sighed with relief in his soul. He didn't have to force Levi to reveal herself. He puts everything together. The four Eastern Stars were probably the group meant to guard the Lavia transport, but instead a weaker C-rank team was sent. Clearly something is fishy here. He quickly opens soulboard Soulboard, rank 41. She is on a completely different level. Her skill in swordsmanship is level 5, just 1 point short of the sword saint himself. This woman is a true monster. So Luz sends his group to scour the outskirts. And our guy realizes, if all four are this strong, they are a huge threat. Salus shifts his gaze to him and asks if he is going to Manhwa on a whim. "Are you confident in yourself, or do you just have no clue?" The air seems to crackle with tension. The travelers invite him to stay with them. And Palia, burning with shame, offers her residence. He resists, wants to set out on the road alone. But they insist. Salus says he is stubborn, and he is just inventing the most exquisite excuse imaginable. "I get nervous when there are women around me. I am very shy." He walks away, and she remains with eyes full of curiosity. Finally, the squad reaches Manhwa, are welcomed as true heroes. Solus delivers a fiery speech that ignites the hearts of the villagers. And we meet another member of her team, the senior priestess named Sophie. Pola is completely stunned and mesmerized. She feels that she is not on their level at all. It turned out that the village headman is Pola's father, and they met in tears, hugging tightly. He asks her to show Sophie around the town. Later that night, our guy and Lavia finally ended up alone, sitting by the campfire under the starry sky. She asks him what he thinks about the four Eastern Stars. He admits that he cannot let his guard down around them, but he does not spare words of praise for the grace and skill of Solus. As soon as another woman's name was mentioned, Lavia puffed her cheeks and made a huge offended grimace. It's jealousy, nothing more. Finally, she blurts it out, ashamed of her own feelings. He just laughed. He found it cute. And then he honestly admits the real reason he wanted to travel alone was to spend more time just with her. He asks if she was disappointed by his pathetic jealousy, and she says on the contrary it made her happy. He smiles warmly. "I'm even happier that it is you." They share a quiet, tender moment together. The next morning, the adventurers meet with the village head, but the whole village crowd stands outside, loudly demanding to know the plan. Our hero and Lavia decide to do some reconnaissance, quietly slip past the crowd and eavesdrop. Inside, the chief is in despair, begging them to clear the dungeon. But Salas explains, only 4 people are not enough, it is impossible. Their mission is to buy time for the evacuation. The chief refuses to leave his fields, his only wealth. And suddenly one of the travelers, Sala, sensed their presence. Someone is eavesdropping. She looks into the corridor, but there is no one there. Because our guy and Lavia are stuck to the ceiling, hiding with their skills, it was too close. He reviews her stats. She has a laughable 5 points in instinct. But suddenly a voice sounded from the room opposite. Here she is, the quiet girl in the hood, Sirika. Salas opened the door and found the room empty, the window wide open, and she immediately understood. The eavesdropper had escaped. Outside, Sirika challenges our hero, "Are you satisfied?" And Levia simply exhales with relief. They were not caught. And a gloom froze on our hero's face. He figured something out. The girl in the hood is named Sirika Tano. Levia puts the facts together. Unusual name, black hair, could it be? His eyes narrow, his face becomes deadly serious. Aha. He summons her soulboard, and the last piece of the puzzle clicks into place. There is no doubt she is from another world, he realizes. The weight of this moment presses on him, just as it does on me. Quiet moment falls between our guy and Levia, but the conversation is anything but calm. He asks if that new person is also from another world like him, and she confirms it. Her name is Sirika Tenu. She is another migrant from Japan. And now the most interesting part. Her level on soulboard is a crazy 104, while experienced adventurers barely reach 41, so there is clearly something fishy about this number. Our hero wonders if she knows what happened to him. Maybe he should try to contact her. And Lavia, as always the voice of reason, gently takes his hand and reminds him that risking without need is a bad idea, since they are in this together. Her face softened, a light blush ran across her cheeks, and she whispered, "I'm nearby." When everything is settled, a determined look ignited in our hero's eyes. They have a clear goal. 4 of the eastern stars act cautiously, preparing to defend the village and evacuate the peaceful inhabitants. But our hero does not like living on the defensive, and Levia immediately senses his energy. He drops a shocking piece of news. They will not just defend the village, they are going to defeat the dungeon lord. This dungeon is located in the infamous Forest of Deception, a place literally teeming with monsters. Levia definitely knows what is going on in this madman's head. He smiles the most relaxed and confident smile you have ever seen, and calmly says, "I'll break in myself." Levia instantly got angry, grabbed him, and shouted that it is too dangerous. She begs him to take her with him, but he gently pushes her away and explains that her epic, lengthy attacks are the complete opposite of the quiet stealth required for this mission. He makes a deal: if there is even a 1 chance of failure, he will retreat. Pinky swear. Her eyes filled with tears, her voice trembled as she told him, "If you don't come back, I will follow you myself." Raw emotions overwhelm him, and he hugged her tightly, whispering into her hair, "Don't worry, I will definitely come back." The plan is ready now. He needs to make sure Levia is safe. He finds Pola in the local church. Just then, a group of adventurers enters the town. He quickly caught Pola's attention and whispered to her, not letting her announce his presence to the whole village. He proudly introduces Levia, a member of his group. Then he boasts a huge bag of coins and offers to pay for food and give her shelter for a few days. Pola is completely confused and refuses to take the money. He has already saved her life twice. But our guy insists so skillfully that it's just a donation to the church. The deal is made. He leans closer and quietly says he asks for one more small favor. He asks them to keep Lavia in the shadows and not reveal her because she, honestly, is panic-stricken by men. Lavia, poor thing, immediately starts crying as if on command. What an actress! Paula is completely convinced and vows to protect her. Lavia is in safe hands, so our hero is already ready to set off. But at that very moment, the scout dashed back to the village. Remove the dash and you'll see what's happening. Terrible news: an horde of about 100 monsters is rushing straight at them. The newly arrived adventurers mock, saying it seems like an easy victory since half of the enemies are just small fry. These little pests are only dangerous when they attack you in swarms. But the scout is not yet finished off. The rest of the horde are lower-ranked opponents, smaller basilisks, a trant, and damn it, some lost man. Before anyone could panic, the leader of the new team with an eye patch slammed his fist and roared that Wildhorn will deal with the big ones. He completely takes everything into his own hands, declaring that this is Pauna's territory and they are here on an official mission. That guy simply tells the local adventurers, "Sit down and let the pro handle it." The locals are boiling with rage, but the wild band of trumpeters just walks away, completely ignoring them. The Levia squad decided that they need to help. She tells Pola and Paya, "Go calm the villagers," and the rest meanwhile set off to rush into battle. While they walk, Paya begins to complain indignantly about how terrible men are. Pola instantly defends our hero, but Paya will not tolerate this. What's so cool about him? He's so skinny and lanky, she snorts disdainfully. She started to have suspicions. She began asking how he managed to survive so comfortably during the goblin attack and the burning house incident. She looks fiercely at his image in her memory, full of distrust. The archer has to physically push them aside, reminding them that an army of monsters is approaching. Finally, they agreed to scour the village and lead the people to a safe place. Meanwhile, Lavia is boiling with rage. She is so rude to you, growling, her face a mask of fury. Our hero simply calmly tells her to calm down and they set off towards the forest. The battle has already begun. The wild horn team breaks through the weak monsters as if it were a trifle. Their mage raises a wall of flame to drive the enemies and the leader laughs madly, saying how weak they are, just a perfect opportunity to make a quick profit. Watching from the trees, our guy admits that they have quite good coordination. But Lavia knows the real test is about to begin. As if on command, the peasant shouted when a huge Trent burst out of the thicket of trees, seizing some poor soul and devouring it right into the sky. But the wild horn leader was not even moved. Trent is not what they should fear, he said with a sneer. His mage releases a fierce flaming spear, completely destroying the giant tree monster in a fiery explosion. The adventurers shouted joyfully, thinking this would be an easy victory. Big mistake. While they celebrate, the real threat makes its move. A terrifying lost man appears out of nowhere, his claws just a few inches from the boy's neck. But just as it is about to strike, the arrow whistles past and saves the traveler's life. There she is, the archer, perched on a branch, looking down with a sly smile. Fine if you want to look cool, she teases, but if you keep this up, you'll die, you know. Other adventurers burst into the fight, finishing off the last monsters with quick, sharp strikes. The leader of Wildhorn skillfully tries to save face, claiming they were just on a conquest quest and did nothing wrong. But the archer says the main target, the lost man, hid in camouflage and fled immediately after she shot. Mission failed, guys. And so the first wave is behind. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a pair of greedy adventurers pick up spirit stones from the monster corpses. They are so absorbed in the loot that they don't notice another lost man sneaking up from behind. One of them suddenly felt a chill, a sharp gust of wind, but when he turned around, there was nothing. That's because our guy just quietly removed it with his stealth skill. Even under disguise, his absurdly high detection skills easily noticed it. He feels that the enemies are increasing. It's time to speed up. He instantly disappears into the forest. Deeper in the forest, he finally finds the entrance. It should be night, but here the sky is eternally bright, a strange effect of the dungeon. A smile appears on his face. Here it is, his very first dungeon. The walls are strange, as if translucent, almost transparent, probably why it is called the Forest of Deception. He walks along a path that leads to a long corridor, and directly runs into a pack of smaller basilisks. Perfect test subjects, he sharply pulls out a throwing knife, and throws it with precise accuracy, hitting one right between the eyes. It falls instantly. He is genuinely stunned by his own strength. The other bird lizards panic and rush away. He checks his skills and realizes the maxed out skill, Shadow Kill, combined with the sniper skill, makes any stealth attack an automatic critical hit. This is truly a broken combination. He hesitates whether to try another weapon, but still decides to advance deeper into the darkness of the dungeon. Tension is rising in the village. Another wave of monsters is approaching. Pola notices that the pauses between attacks are getting shorter. Pai is still confident that Solus's team will handle it. But Pola is more pragmatic. They cannot stand guard forever. Paya decides to talk to her father, the village head, about evacuation. He stands next to the other village elders, and she immediately suggests that they leave. Her father replies coldly, "Didn't you say yesterday that everything would be fine with Salusum?" He asks disdainfully. He calls the peasants a burden, and Pyre explodes. Other adventurers lose hope. They cannot continue fighting in this endless battle, and no one else will come to their aid. The village elder confirms, no other adventurers, no military. These people are farmers who grow tomatoes. Their fields, which were cultivated even by their grandfathers and grandmothers, are all they have. Leaving is not an option. They all know this. If they stay here, they will not survive. But if they flee, they will quickly spend their last money and die anyway. Poli's fist clenched in despair. Now she understands. Silence means telling them, die here. Paya boils with anger at her father. He spoke such nastiness so freely. Pola grabs her by the hand, trying to stop her. Your father is suffering so much, you understand, she shouts, overwhelmed by a storm of sincere emotions. Paya froze, not uttering a single word. Paula can no longer endure tears roll down her face as she realizes the unbearable burden that lies on their shoulders. P apologizes and polar arrows. She flopped onto the bed and burst into tears. It was her idea for Paya to talk to the leader. "I am the worst," she cries, feeling completely helpless. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. It is her father, the pastor. He sees her tear-streaked face and understands everything. He admits that he was selfish, born in this village, and did not want to leave it. He suddenly notices that she has changed and asks if she has met someone special. Bala shudders, completely confused by, and in her mind suddenly emerges the image of our hero. The father simply smiles happy to see that she is finally beginning to come out of her shell. He gently leads her to the dining room so the soup does not have time to cool. Meanwhile, in the adventurer's tent, 4 eastern stars are barely holding on. They are exhausted because they haven't slept all night. They discuss a huge burnt area on the eastern side of the forest, where there are no monster remains, only ash. The squad's fire mage insists that this is not their doing. Curiosity piqued, too, set out to scout. These burn marks are clearly the work of spirit magic, and very powerful, definitely more than one shot. Looking at the size of the ash piles, they realized one of them is a trant. To do this, a power level of D is required, possibly even a B-rank mage. The leader smiles and strokes his companion's head, amused by her analysis. They learn that a powerful ally is hiding in the village. It all makes sense, otherwise the monsters would have long since overrun this place. But still, one question arises: why are they hiding? From a safe distance, Levi watches them. They understood. She realized that someone was covering the eastern and southern flanks, where there was a shortage of people. She presses her hand to her heart, a worried expression on her face. She is thinking about Hikaru. She remembers his promise and prays that he is all right. Deep in the dungeon, our hero confidently moves forward. He finds well-maintained stairs leading deeper. He jokes that the dungeon is way too hospitable, but his sarcasm is cut off when a huge shadow emerges from the darkness. Into the field of view, with a dull roar, crashes the damned junior Wyvern, a rank C monster. This thing is huge, Despite the name, this creature is not one of those easy to defeat. Even 4 eastern stars would not be able to handle it. The wyvern flinches, its head sways as if it is completely confused. And our hero smirked. Everything is falling right into his trap. When the beast falls, he jumps on its back and drives his blade into a weak spot, a perfect silent kill. He is a little upset when he realizes that his rank has not increased. He understands the dungeon monsters are fake, pseudo-beasts without souls. There is nothing to absorb. So here they do not raise rank for life and death battles at all. At least valuable spirit stones and gems might drop. Something about this whole situation still does not give him peace. But before he could think it over, the entire dungeon suddenly shook violently. He tenses as a wave of pure power washes over him. What kind of horror have they unleashed? And it is rushing straight to Manhwa. He realizes that killing the dungeon master will no longer stop the monsters outside, so he needs to get out of here quickly. Returning to the village, Levia rests in bed. Suddenly, a powerful shock shook the entire city. Travelers run outside, stumbling, stunned, and gripped by horror. The noise suddenly tore Lavia from sleep. She sharply opened the door, and her eyes widened in pure, genuine shock. An incredibly huge, terrifying dragon appeared, its colossal figure overshadowing the entire village. "Stairs again," he muttered, clearly tired of cardio for today. "These are not ordinary stairs, friend. This is the 5th floor, the root level, a completely dark labyrinth called the Forest of Deception. There is not a gram of light here, and our guy is making his way through this nightmare only with a magic lamp." A quick check of his stats showed that he was on his last legs. He had only 3 skill points left. Until now, he was a real nightmare, knocking down everything in his path with one blow, from terrifying executioners to, damn it, small wyverns. But this is uncharted territory, and the atmosphere here is clearly suspicious. Time to act wisely, safety first. He spends the last points and maxes out life and magic concealment. Dungeons are famous for their ridiculously absurd puzzles that block doors and treasure chests. But this floor is simply a real labyrinth. He thinks that this is probably a good place where adventurers can collect valuable trophies from monsters. Suddenly, a light appeared in the distance. Confused, he steps into a huge chamber. Is there electricity or something on the 6th floor? The ceiling itself glows with a strange, web-like pattern, just like on the very first floor. A tiny spark of light appears near him. "Don't worry about it," it chirps. "Our boy is simply bewildered. Where did you come from? What a crazy and mysterious place this is." But his confusion instantly turns into icy horror. his eyes widen as he sees something huge lying in the very center of the room. It is a dragon. A huge, scaly beast is sound asleep. His mind races. Could this be a dungeon master, a real dragon? But he hasn't even managed to comprehend when a slit reptilian eye suddenly opened wide. A roar that shakes the very foundations of the dungeon bursts from it. Guo echoes there. The force of the sound struck our hero and took his breath away. How did it sense him? He was in visible stealth at maximum. Panic began to creep in. He clenches his fist, forcing himself to calm down. His heart beats in a chaotic rhythm against his ribs. He knows it is enough to lose self-control, and his secrecy will instantly crumble. The dragon, feeling nothing, asks the same question again. Who is there? It is then that our guy realizes this creature does not use magic. Its instincts are simply incredibly sharp. So far the beast is lost. Its exact location is unknown. He crouches down, carefully examines the floor, and suddenly his eyes catch a faint flicker skill, or perhaps magic. He notices a huge, intricate web of threads that catch magic and cover the entire floor. This is a trap from hell. Step on even one thread, and the dragon instantly knows where it is. And in such a confined space, fiery breath means that it will simply evaporate. He quickly tests his skill swell. He managed to raise magical concealment to level 5 and slip by unnoticed. No, Waith needs to think. These threads might not react to magic at all. It could be a weight sensor, a tripwire triggered by physical presence. Suddenly, the scene changes. We look from top to bottom at the village square. Surrounded by a modest wooden fence, chaos reigns. A terrible white dragon rages, and Salis and her squad look it in the eyes. Down, she shouts. At the very moment, the beast unleashes a devastating roar. The shockwave throws people into the air. Her companions clutch their ears and groan in pain. The wounded are scattered on the ground. It's a real massacre. The old warrior with an eye patch gathers the survivors, everyone conscious, split up, and lead the residents out. But Salis stands her ground, shield raised. We buy you some time. The old man is stunned. You won't run away from this roar alone, will you? Then she fiercely looks at the beast and growls, her voice dripping with contempt. You understand human language. Don't think only humans are smart. She calls it what it is, a dungeon monster, a mindless killer. But the dragon spoke with an ancient and mighty voice. Indeed, I am the white dragon. My brother is the black dragon and the strongest of all dragons. Luz is stunned. There is another one. The dragon taunts her. Aren't you going to attack? The sword on your belt is just for decoration. Soulless towers on her hilt. Nonsense. This is a blade that has drunk the blood of many dragons. Then she shouts to her friends, Plan B, and then turn back to bolts. But this is a savage feint. The dragon turns its head and, sharply spinning, delivers a hard right hook straight to the jaw. The blow throws the massive creature backward, and it immediately slashes her face with a clean cut. The villagers could only freeze and watch in awe. She raised her sword high, which shone brightly, revealing its name, White Radiant Blade. The crowd whispers this is the legendary weapon Salis, the Maiden of the Sun. They say it is enough to fill this sword with magic, and it will cut through anything. Finally, she gives her all. She inhales. The fainting spell worked. She knows that she will not win in an open fight. Her plan is to buy time, suppress the flame, and stay away. What's wrong? Mockery. I think you will try to spit it out again. Dragon I see is completely unmoved. Your main goal is to buy time. And then, in a fit of pure, unrestrained cruelty, he completely ignores her. He turns his head and releases a fiery beam that completely destroys the neighboring house, burning the people who were inside. A man's scream suddenly stopped. Wake up! The dragon, awakening, laughed ominously, and Soulless remained silent. You, she says. The dragon spoke in a creepy voice, explaining that only foolish children kill for pleasure. But my goal is to kill people, it says, and behind it appears the silhouette of its shadow master. Now that its master has broken the dungeon chains, it is free to fulfill its sole purpose. It unleashes another wave of destruction. The village is burning, bodies scattered on the ground. Salis can only watch her face, a mask of pure, genuine fury. Her hand grips the sword so tightly that her knuckles turn white. Forget about fighting from afar. Now only close combat is the only way out. The dragon turns its attention to her again. I will make it understand, she swears, her eyes blazing, that there are people here who could kill T. So you are leaving, the dragon said mockingly. You are so relaxed, rushing forward, then I will accept the fight. She ducked under the fierce bite, dodges the tail strike that cracks the earth, and slides under the massive body of the dragon. She deflects his claws with a shield. She dances through his attacks like a ghost. She notices a gap, and with a final desperate battle cry, she lowers the blade and severs the dragon's entire arm from the shoulder. The victory turned out to be short-lived. The attack drained almost all of her magical power, and she collapses onto one knee. The white beam blade is powerful, but the stronger the target, the more magic it consumes. She has already cut through stone and metal, but here she completely underestimated how tough his scales turned out to be. The dragon, now without one arm, looks at her with pure hatred. You I will not forgive. She did it, and now it has turned all its attention to her. Her friends are currently making a real retreat, according to Plan B. All she needs is to buy them some time. Meanwhile, the evacuees stood on the hill and watched. Paya finally finds her father, and he whispers to her that she is now safe. Paya disagrees. She wants to approach the dragon hunter closely and calls her dad a funny idiot for running away. She is a crazy fan of solos, convinced the leader of the 4 Eastern Stars that he can defeat the White Dragon. Her friend Sarah tries to persuade her, so she eventually decides to retreat. She decides, I will help on time too. As if on cue, everything becomes infinitely worse. A horde of monsters bursts out of the forest. He cannot believe such an unfortunate coincidence. Come on, she groans but turns back to her friend. I will buy time so everyone run. She shouts to everyone, hurry up. But looks back and sees that her dad is just sitting on the ground, completely broken. We are not running, he says calmly. Paya sharply, you heard what Sarah said, right? But the father brings to light a cold, bitter truth. Why do you think Solus's son initially took up the fight for us? If we abandon this village, we are destined only to die. The peasants decide Thie will die here. He says to Paya, go, save yourself. But his words ignite a fire in her. She clenches her fist. I will not abandon the one who risks their life for this village, she says firmly. She yells at her father, at Uratruz and at Idiota, and rushes back into the fight. Leaving his father in complete shock. Blueberry Hala watches her with her eyes. Probably she is crying, Hala whispers quietly. The boss recalls how Paya always did that after their quarrels. He is losing his composure. Tears roll down his face, and he imploringly asks Paula to take Paya and run away. He knows today their village, Menalka, will perish, and he is terribly afraid that he will never manage to make peace with his daughter. Paula kneels before the broken man. She reminds him of what Paya herself said that morning. If they abandon their fields, it's the end for them. They are farmers who can only grow tomatoes. Who they are is intertwined with this land. But she sharply turns everything upside down. The place where we all live is Menalka itself. The villagers look puzzled. What do you mean by that? The chief asks again. Menalka is Menalka only because Dewey lives in this place, she proclaims SH. She reminds them of their ancestors, those who carved this village from the wild forest with bare hands. The place where we are is always Menalka. She ignites their hearts with burning passion. If their fields are gone, they will create new ones, just as their ancestors did. I won't let you say it's impossible, she shouts. Even she, once a crybaby, can now stand against monsters. Her epic speech hits right in the heart. Her father, a priest, slowly applauds, tears welling in his eyes. He was proud of the woman his little daughter had grown into. The leader's rise resumes. If we are destined to perish, at least we will die properly. He looks at Paula, a smile on his face. Your words truly impressed me. The father's wisdom comes alive in memory. A village is not a place, but people. He smiles, then let's do it. The leader has returned. Everyone, we Menalka's apprentice are moving out. The village starts now. They will survive. In the dungeon, our hero is still frozen in tense confrontation with the sleeping dragon. What should he do? Retreating would be safer, but grinding on the 5th floor is pointless. The question hangs in the air, should I retreat? In his head, Lavia's words echo again. Do not return until you are safe. Sorry, Lavia, he thinks, and a determined spark flashes in his eyes. I don't like the idea of running away without even trying. He found a way, the skill of balance. Detector threads are located only near the entrance, and further between them remain small gaps. All he needs is not to step on them. He tenses, jumps, and dances through the deadly web like a pro. He quietly landed right near the dragon's head, and now how do I even defeat it? He remembers that these pseudo-monsters here are created based on real creatures. He activates mana detection, and the internal structure of the dragon immediately opens before him. He sees clusters of mana in the dragon's brain and heart. The heart is too deep, the head too high, but on the neck there is a vital artery, a perfect weak spot. Here it is, he pushes off the wall. The dagger aimed straight at the artery. But the dragon's eye suddenly opened wide, and with one tail strike, it threw him out of the air. He hit the ground with all his might. What have you done? The dragon roars. A wave of sound tears his eardrums, and he feels a powerful surge of magic growing inside him. A flood of gunfire fills the room. The dragon looks around the burning hell. I feel your presence, but where are you hiding? Through the smoke emerges our guy, scorched but alive. His back is numb, but nothing is broken, and most importantly, he felt his strike break the scales. He has a chance. But why didn't his killer skill work? He puts it all together. There must be a tiny delay between the pain hitting, the brain processing the attack, and his invisibility fading. He just needs to finish this in that brief moment. His eyes narrowed, time for new weapons. He hides his knife and pulls out a sinister dagger ready for the second round. The new prototype is finally ready, and our Hikaru is already here to pick it up. The elven blacksmith hands over a strange blade, explaining that it can only be used once. With a cunning wink, he says to our hero, "Try this on something much bigger than you." And imagine the universe took care of it. Our unsuspecting one looks up and finds the perfect target for testing. A colossal dragon is just relaxing in the middle of the field. Dragon White seems to be getting annoyed. Some annoying guy had to show up just when White is not here, he grumbles. This dude is confused. White, another one. He feels another terrible presence nearby and realizes, this is a real great disaster, more than one dragon. This is officially chaos. Dragon flying so close to civilization should have been noticed long ago, so something suspicious is going on here. He immediately shouted, "Lavia." There is no time to hide. If this thing launches even one attack, the entire nearby village will turn to ashes along with everyone there. Our hero immediately sprang into action and activated his magic detection skill. His goal is clear the heart of the dragon. He does not hesitate, one deadly strike. The dragon is completely stunned, while our guy charges up. A ball of energy crackles in his hands. "Who are you? You are a freak. Mistakes." But it is already too late. The weapon activates, the blade shoots out like a rocket and plunges deep into the dragon's neck. In another moment, and the real magic begins. "Blade bomb," our hero muttered. This weapon is a crazy masterpiece. The blade fires, sticks into the target, and then bang, explodes from the inside after a second. A direct hit to the very heart. Such wild precision is unsurvivable. The giant beast crashes to the ground with a roar, and our hero collapses, leaning against its corpse, completely exhausted. "Honestly, I'm tired," he sighs. But there is no time to rest. In the dust, he notices a shiny black sphere. A precious gem, he wonders, picking it up. He remembers how the dragon mentioned some master, and that means only one thing. Somewhere nearby lurks another boss. He rushes to the dungeon entrance, praying to all the gods he can recall. If only it were something less than a black dragon. The scene switches to a soaking wet village, engulfed in complete chaos. A group of cowardly adventurers argue loudly. They are ready to abandon the villagers and save only their own skins. But their leader with the eye patch, Salis, absolutely refuses. "Where to?" she shouts, pointing towards the sounds of battle, where a woman is fighting a dragon. "Let's go." The cowards freeze, whining that they will only get in the way. And when they see what is happening, their blood runs cold. A whole pack of small wyverns has appeared. "It's all over," whines one of them. So Luce energetically tries to rally them, emphasizing that the real threat is these three. But a tiny figure in a hood steps forward. "Who are you?" The demands falter, but the girl ignores her. "This is Lavia, and she's about to show her power. Spirits, respond to my call," she begins, and her voice echoes with power. "I desire everything, all things, all living beings, and the hellfire that burns even the laws of nature." The travelers watch, completely stunned, and an absurdly magical circle explodes beneath her feet. Her eyes close, she directs a furious stream of power. "Dance, spirits, drink my magic and sing, burn everything to ashes." She releases her spell, the flame, the gospel. From the magical circle bursts a wave of pure black flame, devouring an entire pack of wyverns. They don't even have time to scream, they instantly evaporate, leaving only scorched earth behind. The travelers froze speechless, their jaws dropped. Levia simply shakes the dust off herself. "Phew, I'll leave the rest of the small fry to you," she says indifferently. They stood still, staring at the burning forest, completely bewildered. After a moment, one of them nudged and it wobbled. "Hey, can't we go now?" This brings her out of that state. "Hooray!" she roars and leads the attack on the remaining monsters. Meanwhile, another battle rages on. Sulu's team faces the dread dragon, a giant white monster. The beast broke free with a deafening roar. But the squad holds firm, protecting each other. They managed to evacuate the wounded townsfolk, but the fight reached a deadlock. So Luce delivers a powerful strike, but the wound on the dragon's leg heals almost instantly. She grits her teeth. She knows she just has to endure. She glances over her shoulder and sees that Sister Paula has successfully led the peasants to safety. So the first stage is behind. Her tactic is simple: hold the line until dusk. A monster of this level cannot be ignored by the kingdom, so they will retreat and entrust this to higher-ranking adventurers. But the the dragon suddenly stops paying attention to her. It notices someone hiding in the debris. Wait, Europa notices me. Salu shouts, but the dragon ignores her and lunges forward. The situation has completely gone awry. It's Paya, Paula's friend, standing boldly with her sword drawn. Why? Paula asks, horrified. I told you, I said I would protect you, Paya shouts back. She bravely charged at the dragon. But it's a futile fight. Several arrows just bounce off its thick scales. The dragon did not even flinch. Another traveler screams in horror. Paya swings her sword with all her might, and the dragon simply snorted disdainfully. Get out of the way, and with a light flick of its tail pierced her right in the chest. The sword fell to the ground with a crash, and her body was sharply thrown aside. It is a cruel, disgusting scene, and Paula can only watch in horror. The rest of the squad tries to fight back, releasing arrows and spells. But the dragon is completely unmoved. It lets out a roar that tears the earth apart, and a shockwave rolls across the battlefield. It knocked everyone off their feet. The force of the explosion shatters the archer's bow to pieces. And now Luz falls unconscious. The dragon turned its gaze to the fallen archer. Sarika, anger burned in its eyes. It opens its huge jaws, preparing to release a stream of flame. The dragon spews a dark burst of energy from its jaws. But at the last moment, some nerd rushed at Sarika and pulled her to safety. Pull yourself together, she shouts. Paula rushed to Paya, but in vain. This wound is too severe. It's okay, Paula cries, trying to use her healing magic. But Paya quickly fades. Paula, run, she whispers. Paula begins to pray, offering her body as a sacrifice for a miracle. But her magic flickers hoarsely and fades. Her hands are covered with dark gloom. This is wrong. It cannot be. Paya tirelessly repeats to her, run, it has always been this way. The memory shows Paya was always the one who threw herself into the line of fire, putting her body on the line, protecting Paula again and again. That is why even today nothing changes. The burden of all this crushes Paula, and she begins to sob. She thought, you are my best friend. Of course, that's obvious. The dragon looms over them, but Paula doesn't even pay attention. She clung to Paya's body, and her grief burst out in a shattering scream. The dragon tenses and prepares to deliver the final, decisive blow. That cold eye fixed intently on its victims. But just as it is about to strike, a solitary figure emerges in the distance. It is Lavia, her face a mask of icy fury. To restore the pure skies and earth, she utters, burn everything to ashes. Because suddenly, completely relaxed, the one who was already written off comes back to life. She grabbed the dragon's leg and weakly laughs. The dragon looks down confused. Did you really believe your roar was enough to defeat me? She laughs. But no, I wouldn't let you escape. She pours all her magical power into her sword. To the last drop, the blade explodes with a dazzling glow. I will give everything I have to this, she screams, plunging the blade deep into the dragon's leg. The dragon screamed piercingly in pain, but Salis fulfilled her task. She collapses, buying them the time they needed. Flame gospel, Lavia shouted again, and another epic wave of black flame crashes down on the beast. The force of the explosion threw everyone into the air. The explosion is colossal. The village shook to its very foundations. Because of this, 2 adventurers fell unconscious. Paula raises her eyes, hopes and prays that it is over. But when the smoke clears, a pit of fear appears in her stomach. A giant claw emerges from the crater. The dragon is still alive. It lets out a bold, unholy roar. Hovering over Lavia, wounded but fully ready to continue the fight. No, Paula whispers, her hopes are shattered. She raises her voice again in prayer, calling upon the spirits. Levia does not retreat. She stands her ground and is ready for another battle, even as the beast prepares to attack again. Then Paula's prayers break into desperate cries. Oh God, please save us, save those who fight for the village. The dragon lunges forward, and Lavia knows she won't make it in time. Oh God, Paula screamed. And suddenly everything freezes. The dragon halts half a step. Paula raises her eyes, puzzled. Between them and the dragon stands a figure. Barely made it, huh, says a familiar voice. Paula is in complete shock. This is our guy Hikaru-sama. Why is he here? She stammers. He explains that he saw the village in ruins and realized something terrible happened here. He has already slain the black dragon, but he has no more blade bombs. He is late, but finally he is here. He sees Levia holding back a cloud of dust. He looks at the white dragon and its cracked, mangled scales. If right now I can cut it, here it is, he thought. All he needs is a weapon. His gaze falls on Solus's sword lying on the ground. A magical thread bursts from his hand and grabs the hilt. He suddenly lunges forward like a blurred shadow. The dragon turns to him, but too slowly. With one wild, fierce slash, our hero severs the monster's head. He exhales, a smile playing on his face. I don't know whose sword this is, but it saved me. He looks at the others. They are all busy tending to the wounded. Then his gaze stops on something strange in the dust. It is large and glowing, and he reaches out his hand to touch it. Levi's voice cut through the air. Hikaru, maybe it's better not to pick that up. He raises his eyes and turns to her, puzzled. She says that his sudden appearance and that terrible, almost deadly tension scared her to death. He apologizes, and she just sighs. Suddenly, she notices that blood is flowing from his ear from the dragon's roar, and offers to heal the ear. He leaned closer and whispered, "What about the dungeon?" He tells her that for now it's over, though not perfectly. At that moment, Paula approaches them. "Hikaru-sama," and Peya, she asks, her voice trembling. His gaze stopped on a painful scene. Paula was holding her dying friend close. Paula's face twisted. "She protected me, and because of that ended up in this state, and now she is sobbing. I am unable to heal her. The burden of my own helplessness crushes her. I was only a burden to Peya and to you, Hikaru-sama." Our guy knows he can change this. His secret ability, the one he hides from the whole world, could strengthen Paula's power and make the impossible possible. But unleashing this power is a huge risk. It will only lead to trouble. He clenches his torn fist, but then looks at Paula's despair. And so he decided. If I leave her here, he thinks, I will regret it all my life. He looks her straight in the eyes and asks the most important question. Do you want to cure her? Paula and Lavia both look at him, silent and motionless. Paula is the first to find her voice. Of course, she shouts. Peya is my childhood friend and best friend. She is selfish and reckless, and yet it is impossible to hate her. The face of our hero became deadly serious. If she could be cured, would you stake your life on it? He clarifies, I am not saying that you have to die. It is about the fact that you will live the rest of your life with a secret that you will not be able to tell anyone. He leans closer. You must agree to every condition I set, and yet do you agree with this? Without hesitating for a moment, Paula's determination hardened. If it saves Peya, I will give my life without hesitation. A light smile touches his lips. He raises his hand, then close your eyes. She obeys, hands folded in prayer. He promises, next time you open them, your world will change. Paula closes her eyes, her soulboard materializes, and she prays, asking for guidance. This guy knows his stuff. For an ordinary healing mage, second-level restorative magic is the norm, and the fourth level is already the level of a professional clinic. And of course, our main hero decided to do the craziest thing and even doubled it, boosting her restorative magic up to an absurd level 8, and just threw the rest of the points into mana. Levia is puzzled, but our hero has already decided. He remembers Paula's sincere desperation, her willingness to do anything for her friends. He tells Levia, I will trust her. This is the same risk he took for Lavia when she was branded a murderer, and the same faith she placed in him. Here everything is mutual. He leans closer and explains why he thinks so. A quiet moment of trust between them. Faith in others saved him, and now he passes it on. Having made the decision, he touched the board, and the epic enhancement of characteristics was confirmed. Blinding light envelops Paula, and power flows through her. How is this possible? He asks. She feels, where there was once only a puddle, now a whole sea of mana has spread. He tells her to pour every last drop into her healing magic. The tension is palpable in the air. Hurry, he says, it could get serious. She gathers her strength and returns to the fallen comrade. Please, open your eyes, she whispers. She begins the prayer, places her hands on Peya's chest, and directs divine energy into her. But this is not just some nasty guy, this is a tsunami of power. To keep everything secret, our guy activates his shadow ability, mass suppression, a skill created to hide stunning magical signatures from prying eyes. He places his hand on her back, quietly saying that he has her covered. A dazzling flash of light burst from Paula's hands. Peya's body was washed in holy radiance. Our hero knows 8th level restoration magic should be enough to fix almost anything. But using such power immediately has its price. Paul hits her in the teeth. The recoil of the mana surge strikes her like a truck, but she does not stop. The gruesome, wide-open wound on Peya's chest begins to stitch itself. The flesh heals, the skin smooths out, until not even a scar remains. The worked relief instantly appeared on Paula's face. Her body it healed, she caught her breath. Emotions broke through, and she simply collapsed forward, sobbing his name in gratitude and clinging to him as if to a lifeline. The poor girl is so overwhelmed with emotions that she doesn't even notice when she accidentally kicks him, and yet she can't stop thanking him. He manages to calm her down, making her promise never ever to tell anyone about this savage enhancement. As soon as he caught his breath, Lavia intervened and insisted on healing his fresh bruises. Fala, completely out of mana, protested, but Lavia did not back down. Warm light enveloped him, and the pain dissolved the power of one who commands spirits is truly impressive. Paula, finally seeing that he had recovered, whispered a weak but sincere "thank you," her eyes flickering with fatigue. In a moment, she completely passed out, sleeping soundly on the ground next to Paya, who is now safe. Lavia approaches and checks on him. "Are you okay?" He is okay, but admits it was a risk. He just had to believe. She lightly nodded to him with respect. "I will respect your choice, Hikaru." Just when it seems everything has calmed down, our hero drops another bomb. It turns out there is one more small problem. Lavia instantly puts the puzzle together in her head. If he is here, it means he defeated the dungeon master. She even remembers that there was a white dragon here. He explains that he defeated a black dragon with similar characteristics. That's why he needed Paula's insane healing power, but that was not the main thing yet. He pulls out a massive gemstone. The real problem started after that. Levia takes the jewel, her eyes wide open. And then her expression instantly changes from curiosity to pure, icy rage. "Hikaru." She stands close in front of him and reminds him of the promise. "You will fight the dungeon master only if you are 100% sure you can win." He's sweating, begins to wriggle, trying to explain his loophole. But the black dragon was not the dungeon master, He couldn't hold back. He had to try to take him down. "Idiot," she says, her voice trembling, and I was scared too. The rage melts, replaced by genuine, sincere fear for him. He pressed her to himself in an embrace and painfully apologized for the hell he made her go through. After a moment, he steps back and admits that he was lucky his weapon did most of the work. More importantly, he says, his face growing serious, the real problem begins after this. He tells her that they need a person endowed with holy powers. Meanwhile, other adventurers gathered near the dungeon entrance. The air is still, the usual presence of monsters completely gone. The dungeon is dead. They understood, probably, the dungeon lord was indeed defeated. This happens rarely, but it can still happen. Who did this no one knows, but they do not complain. For the surviving peasants, this is the best news they could hope for. The village is in ruins, but the elder shows that the main thing is still here. Their fields, which give them bread, are almost completely untouched. Fields are more important than houses, he says wisely, and people are more important than fields. Yet they still mourn those they lost, victims of a powerful enemy they did not expect at all. The elder approaches the adventurers and admits that they came to help without an official guild request. He offers them as payment the core of the white dragon. Levia, speaking on behalf of the shadow patron, tells them that they hesitate because of that mysterious mage who actually did it. Solus, leader of the Eastern Four Stars, devises a plan. They will accept the reward on behalf of that brave group that fought the dragon. They will sell it, keep half for themselves, and give the other half to rebuild the village. The elder was stunned by their generosity. He gratefully accepts and promises that the money will go to the families who lost everything. The plan is ready. The travelers decide what to do next. Then they will stay here for a few days to finish off the remaining monsters and then return to the capital. All right, for now it's time to rest. But amid the crackling fire, Solus cannot shake a strange feeling. That mysterious girl, the young adventurer who was with her, where did they disappear to? So I feel that something is wrong here. Things never go the way you imagine. For many miles our guy leads Levia along a dark forest path. Is this a shorter way? She asks nervously. And now they descend a hidden ladder deep into the ground. Levia complained that her hands get tired during the long descent. And finally they reach a tunnel that slopes downward. They emerge into a huge underground cave, and Levia stands stunned, without a word. Huge pillars of light cut through the darkness and illuminate a space so vast that it seems like a completely different world. Her eyes dart around, absorbing the enormity of this place. The realization hit her like a ton of bricks. You really did this on your own. He gestured for her to follow him. He leads her to a small, inconspicuous room on the side, and her jaw drops again. In the corner huddled a miserable, trembling creature, the dungeon master. Our hero says that when he found that creature, it was in such terror that it immediately lunged at him, and he had no choice but to kill it. But the real problem is ahead, he says, turning to the massive, sealed doors. He pushes and it opens. Before their eyes appeared stairs leading down into complete, suffocating darkness. Lavia froze, but he reached out and took her hand, a silent promise of support. He squeezes her hand reassuringly, and together they step down into the abyss. From the black darkness, voices rumble, dripping with ancient power. I never thought you would return to Earth so soon. Levia is terrified, but our hero is completely calm. This is where we are heading. He raises a shining orb, revealing the source of the voice. This is the true lord of this dungeon, a creature that threw the so-called dungeon master into pure horror, a huge fiery dragon bound by chains. They stand before the monster, two small figures against an impossible force.